The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development. With a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives, at The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Thank you for being here. It's Bernardo. I've got a lot of things going on here, so please bear with me, but I'm very excited to be with you guys here today. I've got some fantastic things penciled and planned for you. We've got some great guests, and I hope you've actually managed to see the schedule that we have, because we've got some really exciting things happening in the coming 3 hours. So it's going to be an amazing 3 hours with a great lineup. There's more guests to be announced, but I've already announced it this morning. We've got Colleen Biggs, Brian and Janice Muldoon, Jonathan Chase, Nicole Marie Kite, Tonya Fairley, Chantel Simone, Lee Cockner, and then we've got Crystal Richardson, Sarah Davidson, Paul Boros, Matthew Hirsch, Danielle Bistonetti, joining us from Canada, Josh Richer, Mark Fowler, Tammy Adams, and then I've got at 12:30 p.m. we're going to have Marissa Pierce. So very excited about the lineup. There's more people to be announced, and it's pretty much the same thing we did last week. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to be able to really discuss ideas around, the new reality that we all have. So I hope that you share, get involved, and I think I shared this last week. But what's really important for you guys is to appreciate is that this group, this community that we've created here is one where we're literally here to share ideas, to share inspiration, and to hopefully provide people with good, positive news. Because as we've said, God knows there's a lot of negativity out there. So the whole idea around this group is it's an environment where we share positivity. It's king to obviously, do and share things that are going to help and inspire others. We don't want any bad news. We don't want anything about coronavirus. It's a coronavirus-free section area space, okay? We want you to share quotes. We want you to share books, best recommended reads. If you're a coach, if you're a trainer, we want you to share, maybe some ideas. Maybe you're coaching people for free at this time of need. Maybe you've got some kind of online content that can help. But remember, this is not about you selling and promoting yourself, okay? As far as promoting and selling your courses, this is not what it's about. This is about you helping, about contributing. I know there's a great new reality out there where everyone is really connecting and supporting and helping each other. That's what we need. That's what this community is all about. So I know a lot of you have attended either the Expo or maybe you've been part of our NLP community. But I'm just excited, delighted that you're here. And if you do have friends that want to join us, well, just remember that you can just invite them to the group. That's the way that they can all come in, and literally we're letting them in as they register. And it's all going to be live here. So everything we're going to be doing is literally live here. So all the guests are going to be joining me slowly but surely. So if you have, as I said, any questions, if you want to in particular ask any of the speakers anything, please do. At any time, any point, ask the questions. I'll try and go through it. I've got a lot going on because I've got 2 or 3 speakers coming in pretty much every 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to invite them all to stay, and we're all going to be sharing ideas and positivity. So, but please feel free to ask me any question at any time. We're hoping, hundreds of you, thousands of you are going to be joining us throughout these 2 days. And it's going to be an amazing weekend. We also have videos we're going to be sharing afterwards. We're going to be sharing also quotes. We're going to be giving you access to the Best You online. If you haven't taken advantage of that yet, please make sure you do. Make sure that you share, you use and take advantage of a lot of the things that we have at the Best You Online, because we've got more than 700 Expo Talks. We've got inspiring people interviews. And it was 14 days. It was free for 14 days. We've now extended it for 30. So the bestyou.online. Make sure you do that. Make sure you go in there. And apart from that, we have, some great ideas throughout the 2 days. So let me see who's already with us. And in a minute, I am going to make sure that additionally to that, we give you some tips and insights. Now, the main idea around the group, as I've already shared, is for you to potentially contribute. If you're a coach or a trainer, I want you to contribute. I want you to share with us what you're actually doing. I know there's so many great people now connecting online, and it's just phenomenal how things have changed so quickly around the world. And so many great stories. So if you have some good stories of people that are, doing some beautiful things, I'd love to hear about that too. Make sure you post it. If there's anything that you feel that could help others, that's helped you, great. Let's talk about that. But, I think there's never been a better time to be a coach, a trainer, or a therapist. I really believe that this wellbeing industry is going to explode, literally within months. Not once, but during this process. And then afterwards, I think it's just going to be a phenomenal opportunity. I think this is also a great opportunity for a lot of you that are interested in transitioning. A lot of you, might have wanted to do this for a long time. Maybe you wanted to do something with a lot more meaning or a bit more of a meaning. Maybe you've been thinking about writing a book. Maybe you wanted to coach. Well, this is the time to do it. There's so many great opportunities now for you to take advantage of this time to relax, to think. And that's kind of the conversations I'm going to have with a lot of the speakers. So my first speakers that I have first going to be joining me is Linda Bethnal, Catherine McLeland, and Colleen Biggs. But I'm just going to make sure that they're with me. And very soon I'm going to give them access. Hey, Colleen, I can see you're there. I'm going to give you access in a minute. Thank you so much. And let me see what else is going on here. Any questions, anyone? Please feel free to ask us at any time, okay? We are now sharing this in several platforms. I think you can also click on share on the watch party. Please do. Feel free. If you want to share this in your own groups or you want to share this in your own feed, please do. So go to the watch party, click on it, and share the live feed. We have a lot of people joining us as we go along. Hey, Eduardo. Good to see you, my friend. Eduardo was here with us last week. He's a massive fan. He's got a big Latino community. And we've always been blessed with him and so many others that have been saying so many nice things about the Best You and kind of the work that we do. So I'm going to start inviting some guests in. Colleen, I'm going to invite you in. And then if any of you are joining us now and you're part of this panel, and you're going to be sharing some ideas, please just feel free to join us. So Colleen is basically, she's one of the founders of the Lead Up for Women that unites women of all cultures, race, and diversity in realizing their greatest potential. Hey, darling, how are you?
How are you today? Oh, I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to go on a hike.
Oh, yeah? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I think we all need some vitamin D and some fresh air.
Absolutely. And I think talking about this, there's a lot of people that are just too concerned. I know some people, I know in certain areas it's different, and some of them, like in different countries, you actually have to stay at home. You can't go out. Yeah. But here, obviously, it's recommended that we stay indoors. But, you are able to go to a walk to certain areas as long as you're keeping distances and everything else. Yeah. But there is a lot of people that are kind of panicking a little bit, that they expect us all to be in this panic mode. If you do have, obviously, you are able to leave your house and go for a walk, it's obviously something that's good for you. But there are a lot of people that are scared out there, aren't they? Are they a little bit too, are people, I get why they're concerned, but are people panicking too much?
Yes. And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's my lead-in for today. And my message that I wanted to share with our viewers today was all about replacing the word panic with possibility. And this is what I've been talking about a lot in my community. And I've been interviewing experts just like you have been, Bernardo. And I think it's important that we continue to share the message of possibilities and opportunity and happiness and service and love, and look at this as an opportunity for possibilities, that things that we can change in our everyday lives, and clutter we can get rid of, and things that we don't miss. Maybe now's the time that we get rid of those.
And that's the thing. The thing is that, we're in general, okay, this is a massive global generalization here, but a massive percentage of us are procrastinators, okay? I'm a doer, but I'm a procrastinator. There's still a lot of things I know I should do and I don't do, and I tend to prioritize with other things. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to knock procrastination on the head and to get, excuse my French, shit done? Because at the end of the day, I mean, when have we had a better time to go through those photo albums or to delete a lot of those negative people that we have on our phone, or to simply tidy up, clean the wardrobe?
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with you. Now is the time. And, I've seen a lot of posts on social media about binging Netflix or going through, cleaning out closets, or I have been so busy because of my online network and my online presence and all of my virtual platforms. So I have many women that are gravitating toward my company, Lead Up for Women, because of that, because they want to know, how can I get in front of and get massive exposure in front of your community, since I can't get on a stage, since I can't go out and network. And I love that the beauty of this pivot that has presented itself here. Again, opportunity. This pivot has presented opportunity for you to look at how you do your business and change the way you used to do business and come out of this stronger than ever, doing business in a different way.
Absolutely, and I think that's what it is, and I know a lot of us, a lot of us are at the forefront of kind of coaching, well-being, personal, professional growth. So we're already doing a lot of things, but I also believe that it is definitely the time for us, those that are leading the way, to step up and to step our game. But there's also a lot of people that I think are still holding back. They know that they have knowledge, they have wisdom, they know that people look up to them, but they're not necessarily taking those steps forward to own their place. And that's what it is. I think it's what was coming from this is this beautiful new reality of people really helping and supporting each other and making sure that we're all literally, because we're all in this together. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yes. And you know what, Bernardo, it's like we rehearsed this prior than I got on, but we didn't at all. And
no,
you are leading right into the next piece of information I wanted to share with everybody today, which is, we have an opportunity now to show up and be seen. And if you have been called as a leader, I call them light leaders, because right now is a really dark time for a lot of people, and they're suffering in silence and they see it as darkness. If you're a leader and people look up to you, you are what I would consider a light leader. You're holding the lamp and the light, and people will gravitate you. This is not a time for you to play small. This is a time for you to step up out of the shadows, to be seen, and to lead others. And I mean, that's what my company stands for, to lead up. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. So look, I've got a couple of other guests that are just joining us now. So Jonathan and Brian, I'm going to let you guys come in and share a few ideas. So I will do that, and then I'll do a very quick introduction for Brian, Janice, and for Jonathan. And so basically, Brian and Janice Muldoon, they're entrepreneurs and founder of One Result. They're passionate about helping clients achieve success and create financial financial freedom. And then Jonathan Chase, he's a coach, hypnotist, author, speaker, and he's an edutainer, being the founder of HypnoArts. Hey, guys, how are you?
Good, Bernardo. How are you?
Very good. So Brian and Janice, you guys are in Northern Ireland, aren't you?
We are indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't ask you what the weather's like over there, because,
Can you tell from my attire?
I can. I had to wear a shirt. It was a bit too hot anyway, but I thought, let's wear something. So Brian and Janice, thank you for being here. Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I am very well. Thank you. I hope you're all well.
Yeah, same with you.
Yeah, listen, we're all safe. The great thing is you can ask people, whereabouts are you? Well, 9 out of 10 times you know where they all are. So we're all at home, and we're talking about kind of where we are now. So Brian, I've worked with Brian and Janice for a long time. These guys, apart from being a couple, they are also business partners, okay? So they're used to working next to each other pretty much 24/7. The thing is, in the past, they could go out and have a little swim in that cold sea or get some rain on them, but now they're even stuck inside with their dog. So how are you guys dealing with it? Because obviously, not only you work with each other, but now you're like stuck with each other. And there's this balance of working together and getting work done at home. So it's obviously you're quite familiar with. What's your insights on this?
Well, it was funny. We had this conversation yesterday, and I said, wow, it's lucky that we're actually prepared for this compared to so many other people that haven't had.
You've had so much training.
That's right. We've had so much training. But yeah, you know what? We're a pretty good team, but still, yesterday I was like, okay, I'm going to put my ear pods in and I'm going to get Audible and just go have a little me time. I mean, I think that's really, really important, that we, no matter what our situation, we have to have a little time for ourselves when we're being, forced inside due to the circumstances.
Yeah, I think that it's... Sorry, I was just going to say, I think it's just really important and it's difficult, but it's so important to be patient with one another. And the best way to do that I've found is if I see that if I see that she's maybe a little off her game, I just have to remind myself that, whatever she's feeling, I don't got to personalize it. I just got to go, she's working through something, and then the same thing for me. And that seems to have helped, right? Because everybody's experiencing a lot of different intense emotions at times throughout the day right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan, what's your take? Obviously, you work with a lot of clients and what are you finding are the...
I actually got my official NHS letter this morning warning me that I am at very high risk person. And so I immediately stopped talking to Jane. So, so there is a positive side to all of this. No, it's hard. It's tough. I mean, I've been getting a lot of people asking me, "How do you deal with this, John?" Because I live in a wheelchair, and I'm at a high risk for catching most stuff most of the time. I've actually got cellulitis at the moment, which is helping me shove up the skull. But I always approach things from a very, very practical point of view. I mean, for me, practical beats positive every time. One of my favourite sayings from Stella Young is, "You can smile all day at a set of stairs, but it won't turn into a ramp," And I think sometimes you just got to get up in the morning and say, right, what am I going to do? And I think this is an opportunity for people to say, right, okay, what am I going to do with my time now that's going to benefit me when this finishes? Because it will. Yeah. So I'm
the
stoic.
Thing. That's the thing, Jonathan. Is kind of like, I've always been a solution-driven individual because, I just simply can't. I can't be exploring. Okay, it happened. I know what happened and why it happened. I just simply need to be looking at the solution. What's next? How am I going to get out of this? What's the future going to look like? And I get it, and also because we're literally kind of immersed in this on a daily basis, and in some cases we've still got a long time to go. We a lot of people are struggling to see that eventually we will be out in public places again, and we will be able to be together with each other, and we'll be able to hug each other. Not like now when you're walking around and you're saying, oh my God, is he too close? Is he breathing on me? Did he touch me? Kind of like you're just like, and I get it. And then there's a lot of people that are very, very scared.
Bernardo, I'm British. I feel like that all the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I'm Spanish and I'm a hugger, and I love the contact, and I love being in a bar, and I love and you know what I think, and God bless the Italians and the Spanish, we're going through a lot at the moment, and people are obviously scared there too. But I tell you what. Give us a couple of weeks, and as soon as we know that everything's all right, those bars will be full, because I think us, the Latinos, we would rather be dead than not being able to be out there and not being able to communicate and see people. And I think at the end of the day, kind of look, we just have to be, as you quite rightly were saying, is taking this downtime to use it into our advantage. Brian and Janice, I wanted to ask you about particularly, for example, a lot of the people that are, because when people ask me, what's your type of customer? I say, well, anyone that's interested in well-being, okay? So anyone that is going to come to an event, that's going to read a book, that's interested in personal development, because then eventually they a lot of them do transition. Either they become pros as they want to learn more, or then they transition is, I want to help others, I want to inspire others. And then there's those that then go and share their message, like all of you who've spoken at the Expo, who've been there. For those that are interested in transitioning, for those that are interested in taking advantage, what would be your best tips and advice for people to go out there and make it happen?
Well, I think you've got to become resourceful. I think that there's nobody knows what they're made of until they're tested, right? That's when we suddenly have to dig deeper and find, how can I become more resourceful? What can I do to move myself and my business forward? A lot of times like this, people want to retreat when what you want to do is advance. You want to lean into it. It's like, if you think about, if you use the analogy, of say, you know, a battle. If you want to win the battle, you have to advance. You got to keep moving forward, even when every part of you says, you know, retreat. You've got to go forward. So you've got to try anything that you can, you know.
This is, like you said earlier, sorry, this is the I heard you saying just before we jumped on there, this is the best opportunity for people. It's a very unfortunate situation, but we have a lot of time on our hands. So, I mean, cleaning out the wardrobes and all that stuff, it's great, but it's also a perfect time to, you know, enhance your skills and learn what you can do to make your business, when we come out the other side, you're going to be ready to absolutely go. Because I agree 100%. I think that the personal development industry is going to really explode on the other side of this, because I think people are going to suddenly realize how much they need it.
And I think, as Colleen was saying, you know, that you know, now is the time. You know, now is the time to position yourself, to get out there and let people know who you are and start serving and start contributing in ways. It's your opportunity to give. And, you know, that, like you say, when we come back to whatever that new normal is going to be, you're hopefully going to be relevant and further ahead of the curve than where you are right now.
For complimentary resources from my book, my complimentary e-course, The Power of the Question, or recommended reads, go to www.thequestion.com/resources. For more information on my coaching or mentoring, go to www.bernardo-moya.com.
Thank you. Jonathan, I wanted just to ask you, so what are you doing more of now? Okay, because again, us leaders, you know, kind of, it's not that, you know, so you got a letter from the NHS. I'm sure that was a great hypnotic induction from them telling you that you're more at risk. But apart from that, what is it that you're doing more of now that you weren't necessarily doing before, if anything?
To be honest, very little. I've been in the digital world since 2005. So mine was the third hypnosis video on YouTube. So wow. I've had my last.
Jonathan, sorry, was YouTube in black and white then? No, carry on.
No, but they had the rule that you could only post 10 minutes of video. That was the maximum, and it had to be very low quality, nothing above 460 DPI. So, and I'm a nerd anyway, you know.
You have been. You've always been an innovator, Jonathan. I've got to say, you've always been an innovator. You were the first one doing the tapes when tapes were around. You were the first one doing CDs when CDs were around. You were the first one doing videos. Jonathan, obviously, you know, he's been around for a long time, obviously, you know, as the NHS have told him. But so you're not doing anything differently. You're simply doing a lot of the same. But I'm sure you're giving people maybe more techniques, obviously reframing NLP. You know, we talk about reframing the challenges we have now. What tip would you give us, something that people can take with them?
I think what you've got to do is build resilience from the response that you're giving to the world right now. So if you're stoic about it and you say, well, look, I'm going to die one day anyway. You know, I mean, I did it 16 years ago. My heart stopped twice and I had to open it all up and do all things to it. And it's the thing is, people say, oh, I'm going to die. Well, you are, yes, hopefully not now, and hopefully not a COVID-19, and hopefully you've got many years. But if you respond in a very stoic fashion and say, right, okay, I woke up this morning, now what is the next best thing to do? What is the next right thing to do? What can I sit down and write? What can I watch? What can I say on a live video to people? You know, for me, the one thing that I've been doing more of, Bernardo, is answering Facebook messages. I mean, they're coming in from, you know, I'm nearly maxed. I've got 4,952 connections on Facebook, you know, so I haven't got very many before I have to put the message up. Sorry, I can't make friends with you. Go to my other.
Well, this might be a good chance, Jonathan, to get rid of some of those friends. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of them out there. I keep saying this. I mean, one of the hashtags we got in there is #no negativity, and I think also with love, you know, and this is kind of the whole idea of these negative news. I mean, I'm sure you've all got them. I've got them as well. There's people that just love sending you a doom and gloom video. I mean, if they don't send you a doom and gloom video about something crappy that's happening around the world, they actually can't live. And I'm sorry, I'm blocking them. I say, listen, either you start changing your messages or I'm deleting you. I'm blocking you. All right, because at least I'm trying to educate them, and that's the whole idea of being part of the solution.
I've been searching. Can I just say very quickly?
Please.
I've been searching for funny videos and putting up as many funny videos on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram as I possibly can, and try and make people smile, because there is something, folks, that you absolutely have to know. When you smile, you are smarter. Because a smile fires the dopamine, the neurotransmitters in our cerebral cortex, and that actually makes us think better, faster, and in a positive's quite the wrong word, in a more productive way, in a way that, so, I know it's terrible, I know it's awful and everything, but you got to have a laugh, you got to smile.
Absolutely. No, it's great advice. And look, I love, with Brian and Janice, I speak to them frequently, and we spend half the time having a bit of banter at each other. And, like Brian yesterday was putting something on Instagram. He was recording some videos in his pants, so that's what we're like. Do you know what I mean? You can't.
No, I said funny, not scary.
Hey, Colleen, what are you doing more of, if anything, differently? Come on, give us that kind of advice that you're giving generically to your customers that you're speaking to now.
The generic advice that I'm giving just across the board that we talked a little bit about earlier is, like I said, replacing the word panic with possibilities. I am on Facebook Live probably 7 times a day. And that, this is a resource that I've been using for a very long time, but not to that extent. And so I know the inboxes are flooded with letters from so many companies, and anything that I send to my members or my community is all about things about hope and possibilities and how they can see the silver lining. And it's not about how you can wash your hands, how you can disinfect your house. I really want people to recognize that now is the time not to play small, retreat, just as Brian had said, and to go backwards. The opportunity exists today, and I think we're going to see more and more small businesses emerging from this moving forward, because it's time to take our power back. So if you have been laid off, or if you've had some unforeseen circumstances happen in your life that you weren't expecting, turn your mindset around and really look at it through the perspective of what's the opportunity that was just presented to me and what other door just opened.
Absolutely. And listen, thank you. That's great advice. I mean, Napoleon Hill, Steve Arcovy says out of every adversity comes an equal or greater opportunity. Yeah. I'm a massive believer in that, always have believed. And I've always looked at when again, excuse my French, when the shit has hit the fan, what can I learn from this? But how can I take advantage of this? And what can I take from where we are now, and where can I take it? I mean, for me, I'm the same. We're a big company as far as that we do big events and big gigs. We're a small organization. We've always had big dreams and big ideas, but this is a new reality for us too. It's the same. But I feel, if anything, and I've always felt that sense of responsibility, I feel it even more now, that kind of like, I've got to up my game, because there's a lot of things that I wanted to do that I haven't done, which obviously I am doing. But if anything, what I want to do is I want to carry on being that conduit that allows people to kind of share ideas. So Chantel, I'm not sure if you're with us already. I'd love to bring you in. So Chantel, who is around, she's the founder and the CEO of Chantel Simone International. She's an experienced professional in the field of mind mastery. Well, Chantel, if you're going to be with us, you're more than welcome to join us in a minute. But what I wanted to ask as well is what's next? What's next? Because I, for example, started looking into, and we know, I mean, you go into Instagram now and everyone's live. Everyone's live. You wonder where all these people came from, and then all of a sudden, everyone's on Zoom. You see these 46 screens on Zoom, and everyone's doing these Facebook lives. What's next? Because kind of obviously once we get through this, there's going to be a period of transitioning into kind of slowly adapting to the new reality. What's next? And anyone jump in?
I think I think what's going to happen is we're going to go back to people doing business with people. It's I think we're going to see a new type of social distancing with social media. I think people are going to, certainly for the short term, spend less time in front of their screens and more time, like you said, getting out and hugging your friends, your family, spending quality time together. And on that note, I think that anyone who has a business, this is there's not a better time than right now for you to actually get in touch with your customers and let them know, you know what, I have been busy and I've wanted to get in touch, and unfortunately this is the time, but I want to let you know how much I value you as a customer, as a client. And, if there's anything I can do for you, I want to let you know that I'm here. But it was really important that I made this call to you. I think something like that is, this is where I see things going. It's not going to be send an email, get money. I don't see that as what's going to happen.
I was saying this to my team the other day because, kind of, again, I'm trying to keep my team motivated, and God bless them, they are, because, they've been working with me for a long time. So that they've got no other way than being positive and thinking, what is the lunatic up to now? But the fact is that what I said to them, this is a time when, exactly what you said, Brian, I said, this is a time when you show that you care. This is a time when you call your customers and you say, hey, how are you? And there's no ulterior motive. How are you? Are you okay? Are you safe? All right. And what's happened? And that's it. Because then I said, this is a time to plant the seeds, and any of you that are in the industry of having customers and clients, guess where your customers are now? They're all at home. And that's what I was saying to them. You've always been saying that you can never get hold of your clients. You can get hold of anyone. Anyone is desperate to pick up the phone. Anyone is desperate to jump on a Facebook, on a Zoom, just because they want to get away from the other half and they want to be able to do something different, and I think that's definitely great advice.
I think if I could just add one thing, I think it's going to weed out the good, authentic people that really are there to help and the ones that have always just been there to get. I think that this is going to be a real turning point where people are going to sort of be exposed if they weren't really genuinely there to help you in the first place. Yeah,
definitely. I think so too. So I wanted to kind of ask there, and out of the things that are happening now, you were talking about laughing, Jonathan, and I believe that it is so important to laugh more and to obviously kind of explore kind of with your loved ones, how you can definitely connect and enjoy, spending these time together. What is it? And we've got Sarah Davison joining us later, the divorce experts. And I was reading about some of the facts of how, in China, the number of divorces has happened. But it is a really important time for communication, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And for increasing our communication skills, because there's been around a word for, and certainly I coach a lot of executives and people at that level, and the word is authentic leadership and opening yourself up to people. And people just don't get that means just being you and just to plug to being the best you, and to being able to present that. And people are so scared to be themselves. And the main reason I find for that isn't because, they had a terrible childhood and people called them names at school, and they were bullied. I was involved with bullying at school, but I had to stop it because I kept getting caned. And the thing is that communicating yourself is going to become more important, I think, after this blip. Because it is only a blip, in 99 we had West Nile disease, and then there was HIV, and then there was there was SARS, and then there was MERS, and then there was Ebola, and all of those have been put in their place because we've got wonderful people in science and everything else who are saying, hey, actually, give us time and we'll sort this. And yet they've been caught on the back foot. But even the way our politicians are communicating now is a lot more open and a lot more authentic than it's ever been, because you are beginning to see the human being. There's one or two have been trained to do other things, but you know, you are beginning to see the human beings coming out, and you are beginning to see the people coming out. I mean, somebody messaged me this morning and said, "Jonathan, aren't you even scared?" I am shitting bricks. You know? Yeah, of course I'm scared. You know, who wants to go like that? You know, I want to go at 97 in bed, quiet. You know, but yeah, you've got to handle that. But there's this drive for. I mean, we're seeing Bernardo Moya a lot more now than we've ever seen Bernardo Moya before. Because I know we've seen the promoter, and I met the promoter. What was it? 4-5 years ago.
Oh, it was only
when Paul asked me to.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, originally,
events, it was something like that. Yeah. And you know, it's. You've got to know yourself. You've got to. This is a great time for finding out who you are.
Well, and I think one of the things that I'm really identifying here very, very seriously is that, you know, there's so much creation being created at this time. There's so much thinking, you know, at this time. This is the closest we're getting to a complete reset, you know, globally. This is the closest time ever that society has stopped, you know, apart from, you know, 1918 when, you know, millions of people passed, you know. So this is a time where everyone has just literally stopped and now spending time in either thinking of solutions, in thinking of ways to find vaccines, and thinking of ways how they can be of service, or thinking of ways of how they can be creative and how they can help, you know, make the world a better place. And that might sound cheesy, but it is a fact. You know, this is going to be, it will be. And that's what I love. I can feel the amount of you know, thinking that's happening around the planet, and I can only imagine how great it's going to be, you know, on the other side with this creativity that's being created. I've got a couple of guests that I wanted to join us now. One of the things I wanted for some of you that are watching the recordings here today, or you're watching us live, we came up with this idea, which is the food bank for the soul. Okay, so it's a hashtag that we did, Food Bank for the Soul. And the idea behind it is that I wanted the Best You and the Best You Expo community, this page in particular, for it to be a place where people share. Okay, now, I've been in the personal development world a long time, and I've seen a lot of people that are out there kind of, you know, they invite you to these seminars or they sell you tickets to these seminars, and then it's just a literal massive sales fest. I've experienced a lot of those. And obviously that was why I wanted to do a Best You Expo. Yeah, no, I know. And they've been around for a long time. And obviously that's why I wanted to create the Best You Expo, because I wanted to have hundreds of speakers sharing their ideas, and I wanted them all to come in and do that. But I want the Food Bank to the Soul to be what it is, which is about us, coaches, trainers, therapists, to give things away. This is not a place or a time when you go and try and ask for the order for your masterclass. And that's why I wanted it to be. And look, it can be as simple as, you know what, I read this book and it changed my life. Or it could be, I listened or I read this quote, or I listened to this TED talk and it's helped me. That's what I want it to be. And that's what I want this to become, the Food Bank for the Soul. So I'm inviting anyone and all of you to do the same, to make sure that you contribute. And I want to ask you, each and every one of you, because I've got a couple of people I want to bring in, Mark, Fowler and Chantel. I'm going to invite you to come in whenever you're ready. So could you recommend us a book or something that has helped you, or a talk or something that has kind of really inspired you, either now, before, or you would recommend?
Well, I'll jump in quickly if that's okay. I actually started, it was funny because I thought about, I've read so many, obviously we all have, you know, personal development books and all of that. And yesterday we had a whole bunch of credits on Audible, and I downloaded, which one is it? The Ultimate Introduction to NLP. And it's Owen Fitzpatrick that's narrating it. And I love his lovely Irish accent.
He's good.
And I'm just loving it. It was just such a great refresher. It was fantastic. I'm just sort of going back through some of the stuff, some of the books in the house that we have here, and just, you know, there's so much great information, and sometimes again we don't take the time to maybe sit down and just read a book.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a time, and I'm I'm finding myself working more hours than ever. I'm not necessarily spending enough time. I think one of the things that we were talking about last week, which I thought was a great idea, is to compartmentalize time. To allocate specific times to doing specific things. Because I'm used to working from home, so I do a lot of hours. I work up at 5, and then I finish really late. But it's really blocking in time to do things, at specific times. I shared a couple of books last week that for me, I absolutely love. Big Magic from Liz Gilbert, which is all about the idea of, the book is all about ideas, and I love the idea of what she thinks, which is that you ideas are literally traveling from mind to mind, trying to find a place to channel and become a reality. And if you don't, if that idea does not become a reality, then it will find another body or someone else. And many of us have seen that, when we thought, oh my God, I thought of that. I was going to create that. I came up with that idea. And all of a sudden it becomes a new reality. And that's the thing. And so I love that book. Liz Gilbert, highly recommend. The Mindful Athlete, I also recommended, from George Mumford. And also biographies. Shoe Dog, the guy from Film Night, also a great book. And then, Jim Rohn. So I recommended a few. Atomic Habits, which is a great one as well. From Atomic Habits is from James Clear. Brilliant book, especially now that we're trying to create new habits. It's a brilliant book. So I've got now Mark Fowler here with us. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Bernardo. Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Oh, good. I was having a little trouble getting in and connected. So thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. And thank you so much for being here. So, basically, I just wanted to kind of welcome you and acknowledge you, because I know you've been following us for quite some time. So tell us, Mark, what is it you do and how are you helping people now?
Well, I'm a business. My license is a CPA and I'm a certified management consultant, but my business revolves around building and rebuilding companies. And I've turned around a lot of companies. But what's essential, and this is one of the reasons why when Devin Blaine mentioned you guys, I was very excited, was that we have a communications business called Revolutionary Conversations based on our book, Revolutionary Conversation. And we've been teaching since the 80s, UCLA and whatever. And we've integrated for years, getting people in businesses on the same page, appreciating each other, understanding that they've got to come alongside each other. And we've been able to inject it in a way that it doesn't look like it's training. It doesn't look like it's, we've got to twist people's arm to be more connected and more interactive. So.
Well, thank you, Mark. And you sent us a really nice, I remember you sent us an email when we postponed the expo, and you sent us a really nice, or you sent me a very nice email, and I appreciate that. And that's the thing. The thing is, I think, being entrepreneurs and business people, concerning times for all of us now. How do you see business, and what do you think is going to happen? And I'm not talking in the next couple of months. I'm talking, kind of once we hopefully can get back to the kind of normality.
Well, we've dabbled with telecommuting years ago, and I think many of my clients, in particular the CPA firms I work with, have been using telecommuting and remoting for a long time. It's got its positives, it's got its negatives, but I think it's going to probably push us, as people begin to realize that they can do more of it. I think businesses are going to be able to see that it's a little more cost effective. It may not be as great at developing people, because people are away from the community. So it's but I think that there'll be a little bit of the fact that people are going to be doing more remote viewing. More remote viewing, more remote working than we thought they would. And if you live in Los Angeles like I do, and you travel around when we have open freeways, it's wonderful. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The thing is I agree. I think, luckily for me in particular, we moved from the UK to the US, and all my teams were all working remotely anyway. We've been doing that for probably 6 or 8 months. So, hasn't been much of a strain for us as far as, kind of we didn't have an office now. We're all working remotely. So luckily, we've already been there. But I do believe that it will be. And that's kind of the thing where when you're talking about traffic, you're talking about in general. And obviously this is helping the environment. There's no doubt, this is helping the environment. We're consuming.
We have the best weather we've had in decades.
Absolutely. And we're consuming less fuel and people are consuming more toilet paper, it looks like. But I mean, apart from that, there's a lot of less consumption than there was before. Now, my question is to all of you in general, and I wanted to, Chantel, how are you? Thank you for being here.
I'm fabulous. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Great to see you again, Chantel.
Likewise.
So what I wanted to ask, and I'm going to introduce you in a minute, but what I wanted to ask you in general, are the birds singing more now, or are we actually just stopped and we're just actually hearing them?
Both.
It's a random question, but I'm just saying. I know you. I've like confused you there. But what I'm trying to say is that all of a sudden people are sharing the idea. Oh my God, the birds are singing. Well, you know what? The birds were singing before, but it's just maybe because yes, okay, there's maybe a little bit less traffic, but maybe because we've all stopped and we've paused, we started to look at the skies. We started to look at we started to listen to the birds singing. We started to appreciate other people's life and being concerned about them. So what do you think?
Well, me personally, I think that a lot of things in life begin with awareness. So we just now have time to be more aware of what's going on around us, where we're so busy caught up with our regular lives that we don't go for walks as often as we like. So I think that now, and I go for walks every day. So now when I'm in the park and I see people, the people are still kind of playing, but keeping their distance at the same time. And I see nature all the time, and it's always been there, whether it be the birds chirping or realizing that we have extra time with our family or appreciating the people around us. I believe that it just opens up a door to opportunities that we probably otherwise wouldn't have thought of or wouldn't have realized. So to me, it's just awareness.
It is awareness, and I love the word awareness, because a lot of the times people are alive and technically they're dead. I mean, basically because they're not aware, or they're not aware of anything. They're not aware of that internal dialogue saying really negative things to them all the time. They're not aware of
all
how
the
negative
lights
they
are
are.
on and there's nobody home.
Absolutely. So Chantel, you specialize in mind mastery. Okay. That's what you do. You're in the field of mind mastery. Now there's going to be a lot of work for you in the coming weeks and months, isn't there? Because there's a lot of mind building. Yeah. So what's your thoughts regarding kind of where we are now, what people might be experiencing in general?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting because my background is NLP. I started the practitioner and I went to the mastery. I'm a trainer of NLP, and at this point now hypnosis and timeline therapy. And one of the main things for me is I've been working with people for over a decade, and it's really, I've been working on referral basis. I'm from Canada, so I'm fresh to the Los Angeles area, but loving it. And right now I started a series called Faith versus Fear. Mainly because I kept hearing, and I'm so insanely curious about what people are thinking. Because, thoughts are a reality. I'm sure we all know that we manifest what we think, etc. So I wanted to know, are you leaning more on your faith? There's some people I meet that are like, oh, it's okay. This too shall pass. Stay positive, stay focused. And then I meet people who are just glued to the TV that are watching, okay, we have increasing number of reports that, a lot of people are getting connected with this virus here in LA. We're shut down. There's martial law. There's so much news out there. There's a 24-hour YouTube channel that just is all about the news 24 hours a day. You can get it. And, I'm sure by now you guys have heard people used to use the acronym of CNN being constant negative news.
Yeah.
So it's people's minds are being bombarded with information. So my take right now, and especially over the past few days, I'm doing a 7-day series and I'm on day 5 today, And a lot of people think that it's about 50-50. Sometimes you lean on, yeah, I'm going to get through this. And sometimes you kind of get scared based on the information because your next door neighbor just got connected or so there's a polarity there. But the main thing is that I always tell people is take the information for what it is. Of course, don't be naive. Don't be like, oh, I'm Superwoman and I can go out and God's got me. Like avoid that. But, use precautionary, do the washing your hands, do the social distancing, but avoid letting that drive your mind and drive your decisions. That's my key thing. If it open up, I did a post on Facebook and I said, yes, there's craziness going on with COVID-19 in our world on a global scale right now. At the same time, what has it allowed you to do? And I got so many great responses, more than I even thought, about, well, it allowed me to spend time with my family, it allowed me to connect with God, it allowed me to figure out my purpose. It allowed me in different ways to be the best then, So that's why when I heard about the best you when I first got here, I was like, I'm in. I just found it from an ad. And then I met people in the circles who actually know you personally and know of it and backed it. So it just reiterated my decision. But that's my thoughts. I really think that if we are able to just calm all the conversations around us, be mindful, still be careful, still, use precaution, apply wisdom.
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
the same time, focus in on what can you do next? What has what door is now open for you to walk through so you can start being the best you and living the dreams that you desire and applying something, because those who are taking action will really see the rewards in this.
I love that. That was all brilliant advice. Thank you so much. No, that's great. And I'm a great believer the same. Look, I read a little bit in the mornings. I find out about kind of what's current because obviously I'm concerned about Spain and things like that. But then I just literally get on with it. And look, although that, as you said, being careful and being wary of making sure that you wash your hands or whatever it is, it is down to energy. I'm a great believer in energy, and I'm a great believer also is that, what you put out is what you're going to receive, so kind of, I think that believing that you're well, believing that you're healthy, believing that and taking care of yourself. Obviously, you need to have vitamin C. If you're stuffing yourself with cake and McDonald's every day and Coke and, well, you know what? Hey, you haven't got a great immune system. So exercise, there's basic logic. Okay. Now, after that, you just have to believe that you're going to be absolutely fine, that you're going to, that everything and anything is possible. I had this story, which I shared with one of the assistants, and there's a little bit of NLP and hypnosis here. And basically I shared the story that I came in. Okay. This is unfortunately, hopefully this is not recorded, but it is. I shared this story that I was young and I was 16 or 17 and I was a little bit, let's say on the side, I used to smoke. Okay. And then I came into the house and I had my helmet. I had the helmet on and I walked into the house and I didn't even realize because it was so cold outside. And my mum said to me, she was talking, I couldn't hear. She says, take your helmet off. And because I didn't even realize I had my helmet on and I was sitting in the front room. Okay. So the story I'm sharing here with the helmet is that the idea is that if you imagine you have a helmet, you have a helmet on. When you walk outside and this helmet completely blocks everything that's negative coming to you and it's all closed in and you can walk out and around and you're walking around, you feel absolutely great. Well, hey, I suggest all of you to imagine, visualize that you've got this beautiful helmet that you wear every time you go out, which doesn't allow any bad germs or any virus to come your way. Anyway, we're going to leave that with you. And I've got a couple of more guests. Brian and Jonathan and Colleen, thank you for being here. You don't have to leave, okay? And you're more than welcome to jump in. But I've got a couple of guests that I want to bring in here. And I want to thank you. If you do need to leave, I want to thank you so much. As I said, if you want to share, you want to stay, please do. Nicole, hey, how are you?
I'm very well, Bernardo. How are you?
Very good. Nicole is a global training director specializing in behavioral change and has worked with over 6,000 individuals to achieve peak performance. Nicole, I can only imagine how many more customers you're going to have moving forward. How are you? And where do you live? Where are you based?
So I'm actually based back in the UK at the moment. I split my time between here and LA, but I managed to get on a flight back over to the UK to be with my family, ahead of this particular situation. So currently back in the UK at the moment.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, I had my fam. I've got my wife and my daughter. They're still based there in London, and then I've got my daughter, my son. He's in Spain, and another one's in the Caribbean. So we're scattered all over the place. Wow. I made the decision to stay here anyway, and kind of like, it's difficult, and it was a difficult one. So, what are you doing now? What advice are you giving customers, people that you're working with, in order to kind of get through this process?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I think there's a couple of things. I think, particularly I work with a lot of people who are leading. They lead and they manage teams of people, which is an incredibly difficult position to be in at the moment, because you have to manage not only your energy and your concern, but also the energy and concern of others. And I think there's a couple of things which I personally have been talking to a lot of people about. And one is to be really transparent with the reality of how you're feeling. I think the truth goes a long way with people at the moment, and people feel very comfortable talking about their concerns and their worries. But I think also it's about being compassionate, because we can't control what other people do around us. We can't stop our neighbours from maybe hosting those barbecues with lots of people coming, or going to talk to people when they shouldn't. But it's about focusing on what we can control. And it's, things like you just mentioned, your own health and energy, bringing that laughter into your life, focusing on your own, self-development, where you want to go to. I think it's about taking control consciously of the things that you can truly control, and letting go of the things that you can't, because I think that frustration is very high in a lot of people. So it's just learning to have that compassion for self, but also for others at the moment.
That's great advice, and I think that's the challenge. I think a lot of people are trying to control everything, and they're trying to control. They're trying to control everything. Trying to control the news. They're trying to control the neighbor going outside. And, kind of, we've gone to this extreme, people are running down the street and all of a sudden they start shouting. And you're like, hello, I'm just running. Do you know what I mean? And there's no 100 feet around me, and she can walk because she's got a dog. Well, hold on a minute. I haven't got a dog. Imagine I've got an imaginary dog. So, a lot of people are just literally losing their cool, and they are. And if anything, it is about being kind, because I think if anything, this is a time to be kind. This is a time to be understanding. This is a time to communicate. This is a time to engage. This is a time to reach out. So I love that. That was great advice. So Tonya is a speaker, author, entrepreneur, and CEO for Strands on Grand, and hair restoration center with a heartfelt passion for hairstyling. So how are you doing at the moment? You must be struggling to work with people remotely. Sorry, can't hear you. Let me unmute you. Okay, there you go. Sorry, I was just saying that you must be struggling to do people's hair remotely. My son's a barber, and I sent him this video that was the other day, but this guy was doing the hair on someone's TV. He was just like,
yes. I've gotten that one like 100 times. I've gotten the ones where people are holding clippers and saying, please help me. But it's definitely an interesting time. And one of the things that what's so different about me and what I do is that I definitely pour into people behind the chair. So even right now, I tell my clients, like, look, this is not the end all. We definitely all have to work through this together, but don't take drastic measures. Have fun, play with your hair, right? But the realization of this all is that anyone in the beauty service industry here, because I'm in Los Angeles, if we're not working behind the chair, we're not making any money. And our income came to immediate halt on March 18th for 30 days until April 19th. So you have to get creative. And one of the things that I do in my hair restoration center is I teach people how to either sustain what they have or regrow what they've lost. And so I've learned to do virtual consultations because being a hairstylist is all hands on. Virtual consultations, talking to people from all over about how to not stress out. Like it's like that cliche, like, oh, don't stress. Well, if you start losing your hair during this time, that means that you're internalizing and you're stressing. So my role has now become showing and teaching people how to take care of themselves during this time, go outside, take a walk, take a deep breath, think about what you can do a little differently to relieve the stress. So when we do get back to work, we are not in the same rat race that we were in before this all started. And what I've learned from a lot of owners is that they were not prepared even for a small situation to set them back. So I have a class that I'm getting ready to teach on Monday about how to prepare for crisis in the hairstyling world, because a lot of people get money day to day and they spend it. I was fortunate enough to be able to pay my assistants for a month, to allow my renters to not have to pay me for a month. Now, I can't sustain that for a long period of time, but I'm not worried about what's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. And that's great advice and literally there and then, obviously adapting quickly to the times. And that's the thing. The thing is with what we've got going on, there's no time to freeze. There's no time to just literally just go into panic mode. It just doesn't help. And again, we were talking about last week, we were sharing this about breathing. Breathing is so important, and taking time to breathe, which is obviously meditating, but taking time to simply breathe and make sure that we can acknowledge, that this will pass. So, Mark, I wanted to ask you, what's the best advice right now from an entrepreneurial point of view? And obviously, there's different challenges for different companies depending on what the field they're in. But, kind of a small entrepreneur, number of employees, what would you suggest?
Well, you've got two different dynamics. You've got the businesses that are essential, that are still in business, that are trying to support the community. And it's not like restaurants that are non-essential. So you've got two different dynamics. There's people who they're trying to continue their existing business. I work with a lot of CPA firms that are also supporting clients, both from a business and individual perspective. And they've got a great talent. I mean, they've got a great opportunity because so many people need so many more things today. Mm-hmm. Everything from their wills, their succession planning issues. There's just a great opportunity within that essential business. Now, if you're a restaurant, and God, there are a lot of restaurants in Los Angeles that have been around for 100 years. Now, you have to wonder what can they do? And those kinds of situations, hopefully they've got the financial wherewithal to weather it out. But some of the smaller people have to start thinking about, maybe they have to think about refinancing everything they have, or they have to look at bankruptcy. They have to look at planning for maybe what the next position they're going to have to grab a hold of in order to make it, because as Tanya was talking about, she's got 3 weeks. Many people don't have 3 weeks. They've got 2 days, And
I get that I'm not trying to sound condescending here either, because, I want to let people know that I've kind of started all over again at the age of 26 and 40. I lost everything. I had to start all over again. So I've been there. I know what it is to hit rock bottom. I know for the banks to repossess everything and take everything away. So I'm not speaking without knowing what I'm talking about, but I'm just saying I had a great chat with Aaron Young last week, and he advises companies as well. And one of the things that his wife actually was coaching him with was saying, okay, because he went through a challenging time. He went to prison. He went to prison for something that a company that he worked with did. And he's got a great story. But his wife was saying is look, and I love this approach. And okay, basically is around, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, because the best case scenario is, you know what? You actually have your job, okay? You have a business, but you're dead, okay? Now, out of both options, obviously, you know what? I would rather be alive, and not have that job, and not have that business, and not have that company. So the worst case scenario is always the worst case scenario. And trust me, if you're still watching this, if you're still listening to this, if you're still around, then obviously you're not in the worst case scenario. Okay. Now the worst case scenario is those that are really ill, those are really kind of, that are literally dying. So I think, and as an entrepreneur, I'm just telling you that although it may look very dark, in the future, if anything, it will make you stronger. You will learn from it. That there's going to be a spring, there's going to be a summer. You look back at this, and and we all have stories, we all have scars, and like, hey, oh my God, if I could have thought 10 years ago that I would have achieved all these things, and we say, wow, it's just amazing what we've achieved. So that's kind of my take on that. And I wanted to ask you, Nicole. So apart from this great advice you gave us before, what advice are you giving people for the future on what to work on, or strategies for them to keep that positive mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm personally viewing this as an opportunity to finish the things I never quite got started or halfway through. And it's reassessing, first of all, what your key values are, recognizing truly what's important to you. And I really think everybody's kind of core key values are going to probably shift massively at the moment as a result of the pandemic that we're currently in. And it's about kind of really connecting with what's truly important to you, and then really sitting down and think, what are my goals? Where do I want to get to in the future? Because there will be a future, and I want to know what that means for me. And it's making sure that whatever steps you take to get there between now and whenever you want to achieve that, taking in mind that we've got a few hurdles to get over, is considering, actually, what can I do right now to make those steps? What areas can I learn? There's so many people giving away wonderful free opportunities to learn new skills. It's embracing that learning opportunity. And I would sit down and really figure out, what is it you're trying to do? Where do you want to get to? What are your core values? And what can you do right now? Because there are so many things I've started previously and I never quite got finished because I got busy. And I'm looking at it as an opportunity to really reconnect with those and achieve all those goals that maybe I've not quite got to yet. So I think my big advice would be, look to the future, make a plan for it, and then actually take action. That's the key thing to keep you moving forward and get into that cycle of continuous improvement. So recognize, what is going well each day, and then look for areas to learn. And then think, what things can you apply to help that really grow and prepare you for when we come out the other side.
That's great advice, and I wanted to add to that. And from a business point of view, I think what this is going to bring as well, what it's bringing already, but what it will bring more of is, how can we exchange or barter services? I really, really believe, I reached out to Jonathan a couple of days ago, say, come on, Jonathan, let's talk, because we've been there talking for a long time, but I know I could take advantage of a lot of his content, put it on our online platform. We've got lots of content. We've got more than 700 talks. We've got so much content there, but we need, and we're looking for more courses. So, but I believe that this is it. I think it's what do you have? And how can I help you? And what do you have? And how can I help you? And that's the whole idea around it. And I think with entrepreneurship, that's what it's going to be. And I think it's about partnerships. I think it's about joining forces. I think great alliances are going to come from this, and international global alliances. I'm speaking to people in the next couple of weeks. I've got phenomenal podcasts and webinars scheduled, but I've got amazing conversations with top leaders around the industry to see how we can work together. How can we join forces? So I'm speaking to someone from Dubai. How can we start looking at working more internationally in the Middle East? And that's kind of where I think I would advise all of you to maybe explore. Chantel, anything you wanted to add? Tonya? Because I've got a couple of people I want to bring in soon.
I just wanted to say too, in every industry, everyone has that niche. And if we sit back and really think about how our niche is going to change or it's going to evolve, there is so much good that we can all do for each other. Like you said, the bartering and all that. It is going to be we're all going to have such a great story once this whole situation has leveled out. And for those people who grow in times like this, you won't be the same. You can't go back to doing things the exact same way that you were doing the day before this changed our lives. So I'm grateful for this because it has allowed me to take a step back and learn. And when the expo is back on, the material and the things that I have is just even that much greater than it was before. So.
Yeah, and I was going to share that with you. I did ask last week some of the speakers that were there, and I said, okay, you're scheduled to speaking at the Expo. Has your message changed in any way? So has your message changed for any of you? I know there's a lot more things we can put in there, but do you remember the time when we were coronavirus? We're all going to be there. Oh my God! Of course I remember. Don't bring it up. But it's not about that. It's just we're going to have this possibility of connecting with people on a deeper level. But has your professional message changed?
Mine hasn't changed. It definitely has clarified.
Yeah,
because I didn't realise just how much I was going to fit into the new wave of stuff that's coming. By doing digital. God, when we were still going like that with a camera, and And it really is going to change. Bernardo, thank you so much for the platform. Thank you so much for the invite. But I've got a client and I've got to go.
Thank you, Jonathan. No worries. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Okay, bye.
And you know what?
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye.
On that note, too, in terms of changing messages, just transparently speaking, there was a time where everybody kind of took a pause that I've known in the business world. They're like, oh my goodness, what does this mean for my business? And they had to actually go through that question themselves. Do I change my message? Do I start giving things for free? Do I stop selling? There was this whole conversation on what to do during the time. And like, I think it was Jonathan that just mentioned that it actually crystallized the message, so that you can apply. I think it's all about taking what you already have, what you already know, and applying it to these times, making it relevant for these times, leading with compassion. Some people are out there for business and sales, and hey, that's what it's about. But it's not the time to be overly salesy right now. It's the time to lead with compassion and say, how can I give back to you? I'm going to give this for free. I just interviewed Sharon Lechter, who's the author of Think and Grow Rich for Women and Outwitting the Devil. So we had a conversation online on my show yesterday. And, she had a program that was $1,500. She reduced it down to $79. I'm giving away a complimentary training and sessions for people who are frazzled in the mind and can't get their mind aligned. So I'm all about aligning people back to the core of who they are. So I think the Times really does clarify who we all are as business folks. And really, as we lead with compassion, realizing that this is a global problem. This is a global situation, and we need to come together, whether it be joint ventures or other business ties. We need to be able to come together to make lasting change. And I think that's brilliant, because interdependence is really everything.
Thank you, and that's beautiful. I'm actually speaking to Sharon next week, and I spoke to her a couple of days ago. But I love her. I worked with Sharon for a little while. She was my mentor actually for a year, so I'm a massive fan.
Nice. Yeah, we're going to discuss some great things.
She's a lovely lady. And I've got a couple of more guests that have just joined us, Crystal and Sarah. I'm going to introduce you very quickly. And I'm going to just leave this and then I'll introduce them. So one of the things that this is a great time, we were talking about, this is a great time to really discover who you are. And people can't really necessarily hide. I share this quite frequently with Love. I'm saying that a lot of people in the personal development world should take this opportunity to read their own books, okay? And what I'm saying by this is that a lot of people who are very fake, okay? I'm successful, and and they come up with all these great ideas, and they're just not congruent with their message. And I think this is a time when it will be very clear who they are. And a lot of them will stand out, unfortunately, in a bad way. So this is a time to be completely congruent, to be completely honest with your message, to do everything from a place of love and honesty. And that's kind of what I really believe in. Now, Sarah here is a divorce coach, AKA. She's an authority on author breakups, divorce, and life empowerment. She works with men and women and transformed through times and redesigned their lives. I've known Sarah for a long time. And she's been in this industry, and everyone knows Sarah. She's obviously based in the UK. Well, I'm saying obviously she is based in the UK. And wow, Sarah, you're going to have so much work when this is all over, because the divorces are just exploding. People have to wait to get divorced for the coronavirus to finish. But the moment it's all over, people are going to go to court and start divorcing. Is this what you're feeling or experiencing? And it is all down to living together too much time with your loved one. What are you experiencing? What are you getting? Hold on, you're on mute there. Sorry.
Am I unmuted now? Thank you.
You're unmuted now.
Hi, everyone. I love to see your faces. I know some of you already. But we are on total lockdown here in the UK. So we are only allowed to go out once to get food. You can exercise as long as you don't get in your car to travel to exercise. So it's very serious and very scary. And because of that amount of anxiety that's out there, combine that with staying in a home with someone, it is really pushing those relationships to the brink. And for those people who are happily married and in great relationships, this is great. You've got loads of time to yourselves, quality time, fantastic, great. But for those people where there's cracks in the relationship anyway, or for a lot of my clients who are staying together just as the breakup is going through, the divorce is happening. Some of my clients were supposed to leave over the Easter break. Now they can't. It is literally pushing relationships to the brink. And I was in the Daily Mail this week talking about how the divorces are going to spike just because there is so much pressure at the moment. And I'm seeing so many inquiries on how can I save my relationship during this period, Sarah? What can I do? Or how can I stop myself from like making this worse? Because I just can't cope being in the same home as them. So yeah, a lot of pressure right now. So
yeah, and it's unfortunately for relationships that are already, maybe, transitioning to divorce, or those that are unfortunately even worse, in an abusive relationship, that can be even worse, so my heart goes to those people and obviously kind of these challenging times. Crystal Richardson, she's here with us, speaker, author, coach, radio show host, and Crystal, we've seen each other a lot. I mean, we saw each other at the City Gala. You interviewed me there. And then all of a sudden, we're popping up on all, I think we were on David Fagan's call the other day together. And there was a lot of people there too. So how are you?
I'm excellent. I am so excellent because today is March 28th and it's our 28-year anniversary. So there's no divorcing going on here. I wanted to tell Sarah. So thank you.
Well, he's a very, very lucky man, isn't he? So, I mean, that's it. So, okay. So what are you doing more of now, if anything? And what advice are you giving people? Wow. Yeah. So yeah, we've been popping up on a few summits and webinars and calls here lately. And part of it obviously is because everybody's having to go online right now to get their messages out. And I'm just honored to be asked to be on a number of different platforms that are out right now. And part of it really has to do with the fact that people need so much help right now from a mental perspective. So I speak on leadership, I speak on mindset, and really mindset is huge anyways, but especially when we're talking about the fact that we're all shut in, and we're shut in really having to deal with what's going on in our minds, right? Because you get real mental, sometimes people do during times like this. So I've actually been doing a lot of counseling, not necessarily coaching. I've been doing some coaching, but a lot of counseling with people, with married couples, with people who have seniors, with even some younger people that have totaled their cars during this time. There's like a lot that's going on. Marriages are actually on the brink, for real. And so it's really been just trying to help people, Bernardo. Yeah, no, I get it. And that's kind of where we're all going through. It's so Sarah, with a lot of the challenges now, and obviously, I know a lot of the things that you do with your coaching is NLP based. What are the best tips and advice to give people in order to kind of reframe or start visualizing, the potential positive outcome with the right mindset?
Well, it's a really good question, because with anxiety going through the roof, it's about taking control of what's going on in here, first of all, because most of us don't realize that we can actually control what's going on in our minds. So how we choose to react is up to us. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird for a lot of people, but actually it's true. And a lot of the work that I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing free videos every day. You can send your questions to me, and I'm answering your breakup questions, your relationship challenges on video every day. So the sort of things that I'm sharing with people, the NLP techniques, Bernardo, that I learned with your company about 20-something years ago, when I was 12, obviously. But those things are things like, taking control of your mind and helping you to dial down the anxiety levels. Now, that might be by shifting your body language. So, for example, I get my clients to think about a time when they were genuinely relaxed or calm. And then how are they sitting? How are they standing? And then just trying to go back to that body language rather than the anxious body language that we're seeing so much of at the moment. Taking control of those emotions and trying to ask yourself better questions. A lot of us get stuck by the dialogue, the narrative that we say to ourselves over and over again. And those words and phrases that we use are so powerful because they're telling us how to be. So, for example, you might find yourself saying, gosh, what happens if I get ill? What happens if I'm sick or I can't get out to get to the shops? What happens if I can't get any food? These disempowering questions keep you going round and round in circles. So the trick is to try and take control of them and feed in more empowering questions. They're going to get you focused on what can I do right now to feel a little bit better? Or what can I do right now to solve this challenge? Or to cheer up my kids, or to make my relationship with my partner a bit more playful during this really stressful time. So just by changing the dialogue that's going on in your head, you can change the kind of feel, your anxiety, and dial that down. So techniques like that are always really useful at times like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mean, kind of not that I'm not here to plug my book because I'm not, but my book is
It's very good.
Well, thank you. But the book is called The Question, Find Your True Purpose. And I mean, one of the things that I do believe, and this is my NLP training as well, like yours, is that the power of your life, I always say this, that the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And that's the bottom line, is there are a lot of people that just ask themselves disempowering questions. How crap is my day going to be? How much of an asshole is my partner going to be? Or how stressful I'm going to be? And obviously what's happening is consciously and unconsciously, your mind is feeding you thousands of ways or reasons why, that is going to happen. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. And I know that kind of, for those of you coaches, trainers, and NLP trained, and, we are aware of our thoughts, but a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of the thoughts. And some people are probably asking themselves, saying themselves, oh, I don't actually have an internal dialogue. Well, that one that's saying that you haven't got an internal dialogue is the one that we're talking about. So being aware of those thoughts and being aware of your internal dialogue and making sure that you're asking yourself positive questions, that's great advice, Sarah. And as simple as it is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't necessarily do it. Now, I've got a couple of guests who are going to be joining me. Valentine, I think you're here with us. So happy to bring you in whenever you want. And Mark, any last words you would like to give us related to, the business or advice? I know, for example, coming from Spain to the UK to the US, I love how the Americans, you guys do it, in such a big way. The government's decided to put $2 or $3 trillion in. Okay, well, that works. Just bear with me a second. Valentine, you've taken over. Let me just... Yeah, okay, cool. We're back. So basically, the idea around the government putting in $2 trillion that the government's put in, and Valentine, sorry, darling, that's it. Yeah, no, you don't need to spread. I'll let you in as soon as you're ready. Okay, so I'll let you in. So the idea around that is that they're putting so much money into the economy, and they're going in a big way, to build these ventilators and stuff like that. So there are going to be phenomenal opportunities because obviously the US government is backing. And I know that in the UK they've done some great things, and a lot of the governments are reacting as well. Any advice on that? Any thoughts on this?
Well, it's very confusing because it's the money they're putting in. It's really unclear as to how that money's going to get used. And, the $1,200, that's going to just move people forward for a couple of weeks or maybe a week. It's hard to understand that they haven't tied the money to a way to make it happen, which is maybe they haven't thought about it. Maybe by getting the money in there, Bernardo, you talk about the entrepreneurial aspect of it. Maybe once the money starts to flow, there'll be an entrepreneurial perspective on it. I think it's a little bit of a guess. I think we have to stay positive about it. I think the government's learning as they go, and we're learning as we go. And one of the things I was going to talk about, I've turned around over 100 companies, and the only way I was able to do it, from a positive perspective, was to know that it was done. I walk into a situation and it's done. And now I know that it isn't done, but we know that we've completed it in a mental way. It is done. And we've almost had 100% success rate by being focused on this is going to happen. It's already happened.
For more information on collaborating, partnering, sponsoring, supporting, or speaking at any of our events, or finding out more about our legacy clubs, go to www.thebestyou.co. If you're interested in finding out more about the amazing content we have, please go to www.thebestyou.online and get your 14-day free trial now.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great advice, Mark. That's great advice. And especially, when there's so many companies that need to be turned around. There's so many companies that are going to start, from scratch. So I've got Valentine. Is it Siroun or Siron?
Siroun. Correct. Siroun.
Thank you. So Valentine. Hi, Valentine.
It's pretty Armenian.
It means pretty. Okay.
In Armenian.
In Armenian. Okay. She's an entrepreneur, speaker, and owner of Home Sweet Home Reality. And she helps people realize their dreams of financial independence, home ownership, and self-development. So And then I've also got here Matthew. Hey, Matthew, how are you? Matt.
Doing well.
Thank you for being here. I'll introduce you in a minute.
Thank you.
So Valentine, what are you experiencing a lot more of now? What are you sharing more of now?
With me?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I was having such a hard time getting on here. I was like, where's my video? So I found my way in. What I'm experiencing is a lot of people doing a lot of panic moment. This is happening to all of us. Every single one of us are affected by this. And, I'm trying to learn to listen more to what people are saying and kind of trying to help them in a sense of everyone wants to be heard. So it's okay to listen. And it seems like a lot of couples or a lot of friends, colleagues, no one's really listening to one another. I think everyone needs mental support right now more than ever. Everybody needs help. And I feel like we got to listen. We got to listen to people just go on and put it out there and have them help them surrender to what's going on. That's what I'm getting a lot of. I'm getting a lot of people that are doing a lot of talking, and they feel like they're not being heard. And, in order to do that, it's, we got to listen. And I feel like the government's not listening. People are feeling pressured. They're worried about their jobs. There's so many things that they want to get out on the table. And once we allow people to talk, then we could say, okay, now what are we going to do about it? And what we're going to do about it is start mentally helping ourselves to get ahead. So it's all mental. It's very interesting how everybody thinks that outside of them is what's going to help them. They don't realize that we are equipped with everything. I mean, our hand is equipped with so many powerful ways that we can do things. So I'm just getting a lot of, people that just want to be heard. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. And I think also, we were talking before about, kind of what's worse. Well, the worst case scenario is obviously not being here or technically being, out of leaving this planet, which obviously, is the worst case scenario out of anything, or being, terminally ill. But I also think about, and I know this might not still please a lot of people who want to still stick to the negativity of whatever is going on. Yep. Is the fact is that, there's billions of people, billions and billions and billions of people, that would probably love to be in the scenario we are, because here we are. We've got internet, we've got technology, we've got food, we've got so many facilities that people don't have. They don't have water, they don't have toilets, kind of there's so many things that. So again, is this victim mentality that we have that is, it's all about me. Hey, listen, you're okay. All right. Come on. Is it ideal? No, it's not ideal. But does it help you kind of carry on reliving this negativity and just staying in that negative frame of mind? I want to introduce you. I've got two more guests here with me now. And I've got Matthew Hirsch. He's a coach, consultant, and co-owner of the Brand Method, who looks at people's goals, then creates strategy and maps out the path of growth. Oh my God, Matthew, we're talking about you and people like you. My God, you're going to have so much work. And then I've got here Paul Boros, my lovely friend, who's the pitch doctor. He's in the UK. He's passionate about communication. He's the founder of training company Big Sky and music production studios, MB Productions. Paul is, I'll explain a little bit more about him in a minute. But Matthew, what are you experiencing more of? And how are you helping people? How are you communicating with people?
Yeah, no, I love that you said you're going to have so much work, because that's exactly how I'm looking at it, right? I'm trying to find the blue ocean in all this. And I think, what I'm actually seeing is, I think there's maybe two ends of the spectrum. I think there's a loud minority that's bringing down the collective energy. But then I'm also seeing from, the people who I surround myself with, who are entrepreneurs, who are people who are helping others, who are doing what they can in this situation, who are leveraging their strengths, their businesses, their resources. I'm seeing their energy raise. I'm seeing people who are actually doing more for themselves, for their businesses, for others in this time than they were prior. So I think that our collective perspective is often skewed by the small minority, but the loud minority. And what I'm actually seeing is people who are really taking this time to develop themselves, develop their businesses, to centralize the important stuff in their lives and the lives of others, to be able to build themselves up into that person who they want to be, so that they can, you know, come not only serve others now, but come out of this stronger than ever. So, you know, I try to really see the good in all of it, and I'm seeing a lot of good in all of it.
Yeah, and it's the same as well. I mean, we talked about it last week, is about being part of the solution, you know, and being solution-driven people. And again, a lot of people love kind of like talking about negative things. And although they might be quite noisy, you know, kind of I'm always kind of willing to have a conversation with them, you know, because I think a lot of the times, you know, hey, listen, he's a lost case. Well, he might be. But you know what? He needs some education, you know, and I'm happy to spend 5 or 10 minutes of my time trying to tell him that he's not going to convince me, okay? And he can keep his negativity with him or her at his own home. And that's the fact. Paul, so Paul, obviously, apart from coaching and, you know, he's a pitch doctor, he's helped a lot of people being able to communicate better. So, you know, over the years, but you've done a lot of comedy as well, Paul, as well, haven't you? And I wanted to talk to you about resilience, but I wanted to talk to you also about, you know, humor. And I've always said to you as well with love, because I know you're a really close friend of mine, I don't think you're that funny. But, you know, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I love Paul. I'm out of all the people, I miss him so much. I miss having a hug with him. And
I miss you, mate. I miss you. The laughs we have at Soho House.
So tell us, what are you working on and how you help people getting through these times?
Well, first of all, I was really interested, and I thought that you touched on something so important, is that we are the luckiest people in the world. And I don't just mean you guys who are actually talking on cam. If you're watching on cam, you're part of the luckiest guys in the world. And I think getting back in touch with how lucky we are is really important. My father was, God rest his soul, was an economist. And he always used to say that even at his poorest as a Hungarian refugee, he was still when he came to the UK, he was still in the top 7% of the world's wealth. Now, that's something we should all consider, because all of us are at least in the top 5% of the world's wealth. And so the attitude, which, you know, you're in Los Angeles, I used to live there, and the Americans used to say, your attitude dictates your altitude. And if you go through the attitude of, we are so lucky already, then guess what? We are going to go out and, as you guys are doing, go out and give something to somebody else. And what I'm concentrating on is going external. When most of the world is going internal and going, what am I going to do? Well, what's going to happen? And I'm teaching people to go external. What can I do for you? Mm-hmm. Because, frankly, all the science points to that if you are putting your attention on other people, you're going to feel better. And that's really the clue to how I feel we can move forward. And humor is a big part of that. When you reach out to somebody, make them feel better. You know, now I'm on all these WhatsApp groups where people are sending me jokes all the time. Some of them a little bit near the knuckle, to be honest with you. But actually, what you're doing is you're getting little bundles of joy and throwing them out to people you know. What's better than that? Is actually, even if, somebody sent me something that was laugh out loud funny, and it was an old Harry Enfield sketch. And for that moment, I had shifted my state into a beautiful new state. So that's what you can do.
Love it. Anyone want to add anything to Paul's ideas?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to just say that I actually totally agree with that. You know, shifting your state. One of my quotes is actually, manifested dreams are on the other side of mindset. Manifested dreams are on the other side of mindset. So if you can get control of this, then you're well on your way. And part of that is, what are you doing for others? There's so many people right now that they've had to take their masks off. I have a few masks here, okay? They've had to take them off right now because you're with people all the time now. So they're going to see who you really are. They're going to see who you really are.
Can I just say I didn't get the memo about bringing masks?
Oh, I sent it to you first, Paul. That it was the most important person to have a mask on.
So the more we can do to help people really take that off and just eliminate the things that are just holding them back, then the better. So all of what we're all doing in our own way, whether it's humor, whether it's, I'm really into energy and jumping around and dancing and everything, and then coming down, bringing your energy down and doing mindfulness techniques. So first of all, it's just get that energy out. Everybody's talking about being inside and not being able to exercise. And you can do all that stuff at home, but you need to do something to get that adrenaline going and get the energy out, and then calm yourself down and come and see what it is that you need to think about, eliminate things that should not be there, and then go ahead and elevate your thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everybody right now should just be educating themselves. Really, honestly, this is the best time to learn what is it that they really want to do. It seems like they are so afraid, but yet, we have to lead by example. You know what I mean? I always try to stay calm. I mean, yes, there are times that watch out, I bite. But at the end of the day, it's like I try to educate people in a sense of, especially with what I do. The fact that I deal with people's money, financial state, home, so many things that, right now everyone's hanging on to. Like, we're getting notices that, terrifying people. You can't sell your houses. You can't show your houses. You can't do this. You can't do that. So everyone's kind of on a freeze, and they're thinking, how are we going to make an income, or how are we going to, make our payments? So people are so panicked. So in order to get everybody more educated, nobody likes to be lectured, but they just need to be educated. It's the best time to share and talk and explain. And, again, I just keep on going back to the fact that everybody wants to be heard. And, it's like the minute you open your mouth to say something to them, they kind of, no, this is what's going on. And it's okay. It's okay that for people to say, okay, but we're all in this together. I keep on saying it's true, because every single one of us, all of us here, everyone at home watching, we are all in this together. Mm-hmm. And the best way is exactly like you said, helping one another. It's like mentally being able to help one another is key right now. Everyone should just be learning, educating, finding new ways, new tools. Yes, people are thinking, I'm stuck at home and I can't do anything. No, you could do a lot of things. You could do so many things. You can exercise. You can go out. You can go outside, walk, pick up the phone. Right now, we're so lucky. Here we are on Zoom talking to one another.
And again, for those complaining about being at home, you have a home. There's people living on the streets. There's a lot of people
100%.
There's a lot of people that live in the Middle East in war zones that haven't had a home for years.
Yeah.
So kind of again, it's always been my approach. People that are complaining, people that are whinging, they're part of being negative. Sometimes people complain and whinge, and they don't actually think, "Oh, I'm not negative." Yes, you are. You don't stop complaining. You don't stop sending negative messages. You don't stop sending me some other bad news about coronavirus, about other thousands of people. I mean, you're negative. Okay. Yeah. So I think, again, are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? Yeah. And again, how lucky are you? Oh my God, I'm stuck behind Facebook. You've got Facebook, you've got internet. Some people haven't got Facebook, they haven't got internet, they've got nothing.
Have nothing.
So, kind of look, is this ideal? No. And do we want to, are we good? But at the end of the day, and that's kind of it. And I do believe, Matthew, and I wanted to ask you your opinion. So I do believe there's a lot of people that have really stepped up their game. What would you suggest to those that are still holding back? Those that know that they can help, that they can seek, that they can go out and make a difference. And those that are still holding back because it's still not the right time. It's still not the right time. No, it's not perfect yet. Now I've got to wait for the coronavirus to end before I can transition. What's your advice?
Yeah, I think that, I think for maybe, a lot of us on this call and a lot of future thinkers out there who may have had their master plan prior to March 2020, and that was altered, are now in this state of, fogginess, of paralysis by analysis, of, there are so many options now. You do have 2 hours at home. So what do you do? And it's almost like there's so much that you can do that, so you don't do anything. What I have seen be effective for myself and my clients and others who may have that mindset is giving yourself permission to spend time being quiet, spend time in flow, spend time centralizing what's important, spend time on your health, on your fitness, and take that time that when I woke up this morning kind of feeling like a little foggy, in a low energy state. My body and mind were telling me, oh, jump on Instagram right now to make you feel better. But that's where I knew that I need to say no unconscious Matt. Conscious Matt, we're coming out here. We're going to do a breathing exercise. We're going to do a 45-minute meditation. Then we're going to go journal. Then we're going to go work out. Then we're going to get on this call. That's what I knew I had to do to get myself in that higher energy state in order to be in a spot where I was happy and proud to project my energy to the world. So I think just people who, may have that mindset of, I need to grind, I need to keep building, allow yourself to step back and be present. And whatever it means to you to get into a state where you feel better and you feel more energized and you feel more creative, give yourself permission to do that. And often that means putting the phone down, often means turning off that TV, and often it means just going for a walk. Often it means going to get that workout in. And sometimes it means meditating. I think it's time to really do things that are going to help you grow, that are not going to help you stay safe, not going to help you get through this, but thrive through it. So I really think now is the time to set those new goals and really figure out what is important and start getting after it, start sharing. So that's kind of what I've seen. It's leaning on the flow, leaning on the presence.
Yeah, I love that. And we were talking about that. I really believe that there's so much creativity happening now. There's so much thinking happening now. There's so many people that are planning new books, that are planning new futures, that are planning new businesses. And I think this is just going to be, and we've said this, and I know a lot of people are sharing this, but as we do with our computers or our phones, sometimes you just simply need to turn it off. You know what? Because you just need to reset it. And that's what we're doing. We're resetting. And what's going to happen from this is our computer, our life is going to become faster, quicker. Windows are going to open a lot faster for us. And although it might be inconvenient that the actual computer or phone is resetting for 5 or 10 minutes, which people get really annoyed about. Oh my God, it's taking 5 minutes to reset the bloody computer. It's all going to be okay, because once it's up and running, it'll be great. Paul, come on, man. What are we going to do? Okay. Because you must be like, you travel more than Willie Fox, who's traveled the world in 80 days and you're stuck at home now. Obviously, you've got your head mics on. What are you doing? What are you doing a lot more of, and how are you helping people?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I speak at conferences, and guess what? No conferences. Yeah. So that's kind of changed the way. But I've done it for so many years and spoken at so many conferences that I just went, do you know what? This is a nice time to change something. Conferences will come back.
A lot more of, and how are you helping people? Sorry, there's some backlag there. So, sorry, Paul, I interrupted you there. Carry on.
Sorry, everything will come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything, it may take longer than we thought, but everything is coming back. So what am I doing now? I'm reaching out, and I'm saying to people, you know what? I've got some extra time. I am writing a new book. I've talked to my publisher. We're already planning that. But I've got some extra time. So how can I help people in my network? Lots of people, funny enough, I just spent an hour this morning helping a young guy out who's been through some really tough times. And funnily enough, one of the things he wanted to do was know more about what I did in the NLP and the coaching. And I said, you need to go and talk to Bernardo and get on one of Dr. Richard Bandler's courses, or go and on one of Bernardo's courses. Because he was going to me, I don't know where I am. And the problem is lots of people are in stasis. They're actually just don't know what to do next. And so what I think I can do, and you guys will be the same, is I can build the bridge and go, how about this? I'm quite lucky because I do a lot of executive coaching. And so I've got 4 clients who I can work with on Zoom. But actually, that still leaves a lot of time, all that time in airports, all that time traveling to conferences. So I can actually do something for other people. And in doing that, I always feel better. Do you know what? At the end of that conversation and an hour with that young man today, he was going through some seriously difficult times. Tough, the real life stuff, not, I got a funny meme the other day, which I'm sure some of you got, but it's like your grandparents went through a world war to save the world. Yep. All you have to do is sit on the sofa and watch Netflix.
Yep, 100%.
Absolutely. No, I've seen that, and that is so true. And they went through hell for years, And I look at my mother-in-law. She's 80 something, and bless her, she's widowed for a couple of years. She's at home alone, she's a social butterfly, and she's gone through World War II, and her parents and brothers and she's at home alone, and bless her, and kind of like there's so many older people that are home alone because they can't see, their loved ones. So I agree, Paul. Sorry, go ahead.
There is something that we all can do.
Yes.
Now, we all have specific skill sets. How can you give that skill set to somebody who deserves it, somebody who needs it? And by the way, this is not just altruistic on my part, because it makes me feel better and it will make you feel better. And if you're watching this, please think about what you could do well. It's the JFK moment. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sign up for things. I'm on the NHS volunteers list. I'm on the My Streets volunteer list. I'm on the council volunteer list. And they want people like us to just talk to those old people who can't get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you will learn something by doing that. Sorry, I get very passionate about it.
No, and you're right. And that's the thing. I mean, look, the whole idea about reframing the situation and obviously trying to help people. And this is, we're all sharing kind of ideas and advice and everything is, and I get it. And exactly that. How can you be of service? I mean, you're looking at the Red Cross. I was looking the other day that they need blood, who's in these circumstances, they need blood. There's always something that you can do that's going to help, not only you feel better, you're going to help other people, and consequently, you're having an impact. So I wanted to jump onto some of you now. Before, Sarah, do you want to share anything? I've got a couple of guests I'm going to bring on. You're more than welcome to stay, Crystal and Sarah. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us, or anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this time is very stressful. I think people go into that fear mode, but actually, I think what we're seeing is that we're realizing what's most important in life. Because, those extra things that we had, the things that the money could buy when we had it, maybe that's been cut off now. The things that we're used to doing, the freedoms that we used to have and take for granted, I think we're all learning and becoming more grateful for what we have. And gratitude is a great antidote to stress. So actually taking time out to write your gratitude list, like actually physically write it down and say, these are the things I'm grateful for, and have that to focus on when you're feeling overwhelmed is another really good tool just to shift your mind. But then when you're looking at, how can you use this time? Don't feel like you have to climb to the top of the mountain and know everything and have all the answers. Just have somewhere where you can jot down your ideas. Well, actually, I think I'd quite like to start doing more of this. It's kind of a chance to detox your life and getting rid of the things that haven't been working for you, and then putting in some more great stuff that you're excited about, and just having time now to think that through. Just as this time in isolation, especially where I am, you can't get out and about. So using that time just to jot ideas down without adding any more pressure to have those answers right now. So I think it's work in progress.
Yeah, no, great advice. And guys, you can't go out at all. I think now that the UK's gone very strict, and it took them
go
a long
out
time.
once to get food. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, and everyone was in the pubs a week ago. I mean, it took Boris a bit of time, and Boris got it. So kind of.
Yeah.
I think he finally got the memo. Boris did. After he passed it to his whole cabinet. But anyway, that's another story. So I've got Daniel here and Josh Richer. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bernardo?
I'm brilliant. Here I am. I have Daniel here. He's a 14-year-old award-winning international speaker, activist, author, and one of the world's top 100 most influential vegans. I love Daniel. Daniel's been speaking at the Expo. He started speaking, well, he wasn't, he's already a lot taller, but he was very, very small. I couldn't see him. He was behind the table. He's just a great bunch of energy. How are you? Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too.
You're in Canada, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I know about.
I think just like yesterday, they announced that there's going to be a $25,000 fine if you go outside and.
Wow, $25,000. Yeah. Well, you know what? They're doing all sorts of different things. And again, this is not about politics, but Putin, he's got a great solution. And his speech was, you go out, 5 years prison. Home or 5 years prison. That was it. That was his whole speech. So, you know what? He's never had to do another speech ever again because literally you will spend the next 5 years in prison. So now all of a sudden home looks really good because in prison you've got, you haven't got all the perks basically. So yeah, it's funny how. Anyway, listen, I'm making fun of this, okay? Because we're trying to laugh here. And Paul, I want you to stay for a little while.
Madison.
I want you to say something. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, apparently Putin actually dropped like 800 lions in Russia so that people stay home. No.
It wouldn't surprise me. And Josh, I've got Josh Richer here as well. Josh is an author, speaker, and mental empowerment coach. He teaches struggling people to reprogram their own brain for sustainable happiness. Josh, you've got a lot of work as well, my friend. We're all going to be very busy. Oh my God, we got some. I mean, we need to train more coaches. Coaches, come this way because there's so much work for you. So, Daniel, what are you doing? Because one of the things that we've been talking about in the last weekend and this weekend as well is also kind of really important is what you eat, because kind of a lot of people say, I don't know why I'm overweight. I just ate a cake and 16 packet of chips and 4 McDonald's. I don't know why I put so much weight on. and obviously, so I would expect that what you eat is important, and obviously it is. And it's the holistic approach, which I say is that everything that you do, everything that you read, everything that you see, all the people that surround yourself is the holistic approach of who you are, who you become. So how important is it to eat well, and what are you doing out there to kind of spread your message?
Well, I actually just released a video about the whole coronavirus thing. And I think that, health is always important. It's way more important than money, because you can have all the money in the world. Without your health, it's worthless. Look at Steve Jobs. So it's really important, but oftentimes we don't focus on it. We're focusing on how can we make the most money. We don't really focus on our health. But now with this whole coronavirus thing, it's a great reminder because it's telling us, yes, your health is super important. And look, the whole world's being shut down because of this coronavirus. It's going to have a devastating effect on our economy. A lot of people are losing their jobs, and a lot of businesses are going to go bankrupt because of this coronavirus thing. But it's also creating a lot of new opportunities. And it's really about making sure you're at your peak health and using it to your advantage for your business. So what I'm doing, of course, I'm just using this time to finish up my new book that I'm going to be releasing soon. I was going to release it for the Best You Expo, but the whole coronavirus thing, I don't think it's the best time now. So just working on that. But when it comes to eating, it's really about the immune system. And the immune system is not what we think it is. It's not actually, white blood cells are important, but 70% of your immune system is actually your gut and your gut microbiome. The bacteria in your gut, the good bacteria, make up 70% of your immune system. And every single disease starts with a weakness in the gut. So there's a battle going on in your gut right now between good bacteria and bad bacteria. And who's winning depends on your health, what you eat, and that determines your health. And like I said, scientists, they haven't found a single disease yet that doesn't start with a weakness in the gut. That is so powerful. And it's really interesting to think that we have more bacteria in our body than cells in our body. And another interesting thing is bacteria. Speaking of bacteria, we think of germs and viruses, and we have to sanitize everything. But we also want to be careful with that, because although we want to kill the bad bacteria, there are good bacteria in our bodies too that we need. Because otherwise, if you wipe out all the bacteria in your body, and you have no defenses, because 70% of your immune system is bacteria. So it's really important to replenish your gut flora. And of course, we know probiotics are really great for that. However, a lot of probiotic drinks contain histamines. So you want to make sure you only drink one probiotic drink a day, or one probiotic-rich food a day. Another thing you can do is prebiotics. If you were going to send your warriors out into a war to defend your castle or whatever, you would need to give them food. Otherwise, they'd become weak, they'd starve, and they'd die. Same with your gut microbiome. They need food, and there are two types of food. They're both different types of fiber. There's inulin and fructooligosaccharides, or FOS. So basically, those are just fibers, and you want to get fiber into your diet. So when you eat fiber along with these good probiotic-rich foods, a great one is kefir. You can have coconut water kefir, or if you're not vegan like me, you can have a milk kefir. And then, you can have there's coconut yogurts now out there, but I find the kefirs are really, really good in the probiotics. Kombucha is something that you can have. It does have trace amounts of alcohol in it and some mycotoxins, so I would drink that in moderation, but it's got probiotics. So that's definitely something for immune system.
But that's what I wanted to say. I mean, we had a professor that I spoke to a little while ago, and obviously he was talking about, the immune system and how important it is, obviously, especially this time, because, a lot of people have already had the coronavirus and they've literally gone through it, and it was a bad cold, but, it was fine. And it is obviously down to our defense, mechanism and our immune system. And he was emphasizing how important vitamin C is, how important it is to have 1,000 milligrams a day, every day, zinc, magnesium,
yes, magnesium. Actually, magnesium, they haven't found a single disease yet that isn't linked to a magnesium deficiency. And they haven't found a single disease yet that doesn't start with a weakness in the gut. So you combine those two together, you're super powerful. And I think
sorry, man. What I wanted to say is, and this is down again to a lot of the people and the hysteria. People going to supermarkets, and buying tins of lentils or buying, obviously toilet paper. We know everyone's bought toilet paper. I don't know how it is over there. But everyone's bought toilet paper. But, when you went down to the aisle where the zinc was and the magnesium was and everything else, that was still there. The vitamin C was there. The orange was still there. And that's the thing that kind of, come on, relax, read, learn, because again, whatever it is you're doing as a parent, hey, not only you're helping yourself, you're also educating your children, and you're educating them. So it's all about reading, about learning.
And actually, speaking of the magnesium, so magnesium is really important. I could get into all the science of why it's important, but I want to make this very practical. So there are different types of magnesium. The best one is magnesium bicarbonate. That one you have to make yourself, though, because it tends to build up pressure over time. So it's not something you could store in a bottle at the store, because it will, when pressure builds up, it can explode. So the magnesium bicarbonate, I know I scared you a bit there, but it's actually one of the best forms of magnesium. It's super bioavailable, and it's not a laxative, which means it doesn't give you a liquid stool. And that's important because then you can have more of it. So how you make it is very simple. You take milk of magnesium, which you can find at any drugstore. Milk of magnesium, you take a little bit of that, you take 3 teaspoons, and put it into a bottle of carbonated water. And then you shake it up and sit it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. Then you take it out. There's going to be a little white film at the bottom. Shake it up, put it in the fridge for 10 minutes, and then you're done. You have a bottle of magnesium bicarbonate, because it will, the magnesium.
That's great advice. And I bet that's super delicious as well. No, I mean it. I mean, I love magnesium. I remember when I was a kid, my mum used to give me magnesium, and I love sparkling water. I mean, I'm not going to put any vodka in it, Paul. You were thinking about something completely different, okay? But what I'm saying is that I bet it tastes delicious, doesn't it, Daniel?
The carbonation goes away because it has a reaction with the magnesium, milk of magnesium. Another form you can take is, ideally you want to mix the magnesium bicarbonate with magnesium citrate, which is the stuff you'll find as a drink, usually sweetened with stevia, like Natural Commons, one of the most popular brands out there. It's this white powder, but sweetened with stevia. You add it to the water, it becomes all fizzy, kind of like pop, except it's got no sugar in it. It's non-glycemic, except it's sweet because of the stevia in it, and it gives you your magnesium. However, that is a laxative, so you don't want to take too much of that. But you can make a little magnesium cocktail and combine that with magnesium bicarbonate, which actually has a nice, very, very subtle taste. It kind of tastes like water.
I love it. I love it. These are all great tips and advice. Thank you so much, Daniel. And all of us here, I can see Paul making some notes. Paul,
I did make some notes. I made a note that my next band was going to be called Liquid Stool.
I love it. I love it. Liquid Stool. Okay, on that bombshell. Josh, now what are you sharing? Okay, with clients and customers now.
Thanks, Paul. I just took a drink of my sparkling water, and it almost came out my nose just then. So that would have been a wonderful way to enter this whole meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been a different way, Josh, but hey, we would have had it.
But I am grateful to have my sparkling water again. It took me 3 trips to stores to find it. So,
oh wow!
I just want to first say, I've been watching for a while, at least over an hour now, and amazing insights and nuggets from every one of you, even the people who are not with the Zoom anymore. So, thank you all. And I wanted to expand upon Sarah and the thoughts. And I don't want to go back to that. I want to give more of kind of like an action step for people that are stuck in these stress thought ruts. And a little science behind it. The brain takes up 2% of your body's mass, but 30% of your body's energy. So the brain is always trying to conserve energy and to be efficient. And what that unfortunately means is that we get stuck in old thought patterns. When we're trying to grow and become a better person and better ourselves in our life, a secret hack is thought repetition. And that's what I coach a lot with. And you were talking also too, Bernardo, about gratitude. That is like one of my key things. I have my clients do a gratitude list every morning. And what that does is you're doing that repeatedly over and over and over again. And your brain is going, wait, why do you keep thinking this? We want to just go back to sleep. We want to go back to automated. And you continue on for 23 to 30 days. And the brain will implant that into the automated parts because it gets tired of you using up all of that mental energy thinking these thoughts. So I just wanted to give a fun action step, which would obviously be a gratitude list in the morning is a wonderful way to infuse positivity, and your brain will take over. It will implant these positive things, and you can kind of, beat some of this negativity that we're feeling right now, some of the stress.
Great. Thank you. So what do you think is, a lot of the things that we've been talking about is over the last couple of days, so today and then last weekend, we were talking about obviously the creativity that's happening now. And obviously, I don't know, call it this new paradigm, this new reality, because again, I don't believe, because a lot of us are saying when things go back to normal, and I think things will not be as they were, kind of if you look at how we've switched our mindset, from going into the supermarket and not minding rubbing into someone, especially if they look nice. But then all of a sudden now, that's too close, and they're 6 meters or 6 feet away, it's going to take us a little bit of time to change that mindset again, and what is, I don't know. And I'm a great believer that things will get back to normal. Okay, I also believe I shared before about the Spanish, the Latinos, how we love getting together and family. That just will not stop. And I also believe that like in spring, when you have a really tough winter and all of a sudden the green roots come out and the sun's shining, I think it's going to be the same. And I know the English. Guys, you English, you love a pub, and so kind of who's going to stop that? And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that although we might find it difficult to believe, although we might think, oh no, public places and going to restaurants again, I think people will be desperate to get out to the street, desperate to connect and meet each other,
Yeah.
Thoughts? And jump in, whoever?
I'm actually going to have to go in a minute because I'm actually meeting my neighbour. We've agreed that she's going to climb on her son's climbing frame with a glass of wine, and I'm going to climb on my son's tree house across the fence, which is more than 2 meters, and we can have a glass of wine because I'm so desperate as a single mum to have adult conversation face to face. So I'm going to have to go in a minute because she's up there waiting for me. So, but that's my creativity, Bernardo. That's what I'm doing.
Well, good for you. And hey, have one on us. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, you too.
Yes.
Bye, Sarah.
There's actually this really funny picture on the internet, this meme, and it's like before home quarantine, and then everyone's on their phones at home on their couch, on Instagram, and then after quarantine, everyone's outside playing the sunshine when they're supposed to be at home. It's funny. It's about the reverse psychology, and when you're told to do something, you're gonna want to do the opposite. I think it will definitely go back to normal in time, but yeah.
I think so too. I mean, one of the facts I was sharing is that, and these averages will probably change now. It looks like the average life, we spend around 25, 26 years sleeping. Okay. We spend 7 years watching television. We spend 4 years on social media. We spend a year doing our hair and nails. Not you and I, Paul, because there's not a lot of hair going on. But kind of like, so I can only imagine that, watching binge television is going to increase, and a lot of people spending a lot more time on social media. But I do also believe that it will, because it did show that we only spend around a year and a half of our whole life socializing, which is sad, really. If you think about, average is 70, 76. So I spent a year and a half, and there were some really good videos out there. There was a campaign for this liqueur in Spain. And basically it was about two friends getting together, and literally they were just explaining to them by the law of how often they see each other, how often they were going to have each other in their lives. I.e., so if we see each other twice a year, and every time we see each other is 2 or 3 hours, and you're going to live 5 and I'm going to live 7, well, that's 12. We've only got 15 hours together. Now, kind of like that has a massive impact. And again, this is to try and give you guys a wake-up call of spending this time doing the important things, building the bridges, having those conversations. And then when we do get time to get out, okay, and socialize.
Well, I
might jump in for a second. So I think that to answer the questions that we were at before of like, what can we be doing in this time to best, contribute to ourselves, our businesses, our futures. I think that mind space is a great space to be in, thinking through what, now that I'm inside, what are all the things that I'm really going to want to do after this, after I'm allowed outside? What are all the things that the people around me are craving right now, but they're not getting? And when you can live in that mind space, and you're also trying to think, wait, I have 2 more hours of my day because I'm not commuting. Wait, I actually still do have a job, so I am making money. I'm about to get a check from the government. What can I do with all this time, energy, and resources? Think about what you're craving. What is an unfulfilled need in your life? What's an unfulfilled need in others' lives? What are people really going to want to do after this? And that's something you can potentially put your time, energy, and money towards, like building that business. Things like retreats, things like outdoor fitness, things like, anything that has to do with summer, things like awesome events with engaging food in the outdoors and nature, right? These are new spaces that everyone is going to want to flock to. So if you can take your energy, your strengths, and, wrap up all your business development right now to build that thing to launch in 2 months, you're going to crush.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's great advice.
Well, before I get off,
I just think that we could do sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. So I'm going to be leaving. It is my 28-year anniversary today. I just wanted to just give another just quick shout out. Thank you. Is that the positive mindset cannot be purchased. It can only be developed. A positive mindset cannot be purchased. It can be developed. So as coaches and all of the different people that you have on here, Bernardo, this is just awesome. I want to challenge you to challenge other people, not to just like nag on them, but what are you doing to develop during this time? What are you doing to take your business to the next level, or even your life? You may not everybody doesn't have a business that they're working toward, but it may just be, just their life in general. So just challenge one another to use this time for development. And I'm going to go and develop some more with my husband. It's 28 years.
Do another 28 years.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And what I wanted, thank you so much for being here, Crystal. And what I wanted to add to what you were saying, Matthew, a lot of the things that you were suggesting were things that we could literally do 3 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh my God, like, so those things, what would people want to do? Well, what they can't do now, what they could do 3 weeks ago. And for those, and although, unfortunately, there's going to be, people that unfortunately might close restaurants, that might not have they might not be running events. New people are going to flourish, new people are going to be running those new, and they're good, great business opportunities. Paul, you were going to say something.
Yeah, and it was something that you brought up that I thought you touched on something really important about friendship. And that was quite a staggering stat that you say you only spend 1.5 years with people, you love. But I also, on top of that, think forgiveness. You know what? People have little niggles with each other. You have an argument with a family member and you go, I'm not speaking to them anymore, or a friend. Actually, when you start to have time to think about all these things, it's really important that you practice some forgiveness, because the things that we loved about somebody in the early days, maybe this is a chance to reach out to those people who we perhaps had an argument with. And this will be your reason to go, you know what, let's push the bad feelings to one side and make a new start and plan to get together, plan to rekindle, if you like.
I absolutely agree. As long as, if it was my case, as long as they knew that I was right and they were wrong.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
I'm only joking.
Another 3 weeks.
Actually, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry,
as long as they know I was right.
Go ahead.
I feel like this is like a reset button. It's like everyone's being reset. It's like you get to reset your button and start over. It's almost like a whole new day, new life, new ways. I mean, I do believe we're gonna do a lot better than we ever did before. I really believe that. And I'm so thankful. Believe it or not, I'm thankful to everything. Even this situation kind of sets our mind to the right direction. I feel like everyone's realizing, wow, my life, your life, everyone's life has been affected. Like none of us are any different from one another. It's like this is a reset button to change anything you want to change. This is the time to work on that.
It's a reminder that we're all interconnected as well. And so if that reset is that we should all go, we're all interconnected, and how important people are in our lives. Things, are they that important? Apart from toilet paper, obviously. But
toilet paper dethrones everything.
Have you heard the concept of reverse paranoia? Where you start to look at the world as if everything's happening for you, not to you. And I agree. I mean, looking at this as an incredible opportunity and a massive reminder that connection like this is so important and that it's a human need.
And another thing, I find it really hits the reset button because our subconscious minds record everything. And so if you really think about it, we know that we think the same thoughts every single day. Like 80% of our thoughts are the same as yesterday. Mm-hmm. And we relive the same moments. We wake up, we eat breakfast, we drop some science, we go to work, we come home, eat dinner, go to bed, and repeat over and over and over again. Now, of course, it's a little different for everyone, but we're really repeating the same thing over and over again. Like you mentioned, that's what our subconscious mind is designed for, so that you don't have to think, so you can do everything subconsciously. And so when you relive the same days over and over and over again, when something like this happens, it's really like, whoa, this is different. This is a reset. And that's very important to know, because when you change things up and you change your patterns, and that's actually one of the things where they say change is so hard. When you hit the age of 35, your subconscious mind has been programmed for so long, and you're doing the same things over and over again, that it's so hard to make a change. So it's these events like this are actually really powerful. Another thing, I want to bring it back to the toilet paper. I think it's hilarious, but we know that when emotions are high, intelligence is low. Because when you're stressed out, your brain freaks out and takes all the other functions in the body, takes all the energy from that and focuses it on running, or it's the fight or flight response. And so because everyone else is buying toilet paper, a lot of people start buying toilet paper. So it's kind of really funny, but we have to relax and not stress out, because although stress is a defense mechanism, if we live in the stress state for too long, our bodies aren't designed for it, and it's going to destroy your immune system and make you more susceptible to these diseases. And that's actually...
Sorry, I was going to say that is exactly it, is by staying calm, is by thinking the right thoughts, and by obviously, meditating and making sure that you're focusing on the right things and you're eating well, you're obviously, your defense mechanism is going to be higher.
Yes, and that's actually, that's the placebo effect. We know this. That's why every drug is tested with a placebo group, a sugar pill, because what you believe is so powerful. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but when you think certain thoughts, your body releases certain chemicals and neurotransmitters in the brain and body that affect your biological chemistry and which genes are turned on and off. Yep. So 100%. Your thoughts are super powerful. And so I can tell you to eat all the right foods and stuff. And of course, it's really important. But we don't realize that our mind is way more powerful than all that stuff, because we know sugar takes down your immune system. But how can someone who eats a sugar pill heal themselves? It's counterintuitive, but we don't really rely on our intelligence enough and our ability to control our chemistry with our mind. And so we freak out, and then look at all these deaths. I mean,
well, and unfortunately, with love, there's a lot of people that not only that, they just don't have enough intelligence, to be able to be intelligent. So it's a shame. But I think it is definitely down to the mindset. Now, I've got Tammy. Tammy Adams has just joined us here. Tammy is a master intuitive life coach. Hey, Tammy, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for inviting me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
Yes. Oh, great. Great.
So she's also a spiritual healer. That helps people find their true path with healing and releasing negativity. I obviously have spoken to Tammy many times. Tammy's spoken at quite a few of our expos. I always share with her, she's got this beautiful, she has this amazing wisdom, knowledge within her, and she has this beautiful energy. Every time I see her, I just get a big old hug and just rub the energy that she has. So how are you, Tammy? How's things?
I am doing wonderful. I feel like I've been more busy than ever.
I was going to say, people are coming to find out intuitively from you what the hell is going on.
Absolutely. And I was listening to, what's your name?
Daniel?
Valentine. The lady?
Oh, Valentine. Yeah.
How you were saying about how we need to allow ourselves to reconnect. And this is, in some ways, and even Matthew was saying, in my opinion, this is a blessing. So when I look at what's happening in the world, I look at history, right? And I look at how there was the swine flu, there was the Spanish flu, and I look at all the things that have happened in the world. And people talk to me and they say, Tammy, how could this be happening? What did we do wrong? And I explain to them how we've done this to ourselves. But even though it's a negative situation, it's a gift in itself, because it's time for us to focus on going back to reflection and spending time working on the most important person in the world, which is ourselves. Yes. So it's almost like now we're forced to focus only on heart, only on soul, only on spirit and our bodies. So whether, like, what's his name, Daniel was saying about the toilet paper, I'm just sitting here laughing because I can't believe that's people's focus. It amazes me. I'm like, God bless them. But the truth is, there's a way for us to heal through this whole experience. And it's about learning meditation. And I teach meditation around the world, teaching people how to focus on going to a place of peace and tranquility and not allowing themselves to be in a place of panic. Now, financially, about 2 months ago, I spoke to a client of mine who works for Bloomberg Television, which is for stocks and business. And I'm a lot of people's best kept secret, sitting in the corner, hiding, giving information. And I told her, I said, post this, tell everyone that there's going to be a devastation. There's going to be disruption financially. There's going to be, the market's going to go like this. I think she did so. I don't remember because I don't watch television, but she told me she did. And the whole thing is even though there's this eruption, right, that's happening in the planet, and yes, there's stuff that's going on financially, and this is just my opinion, I don't think any of that matters. I think the most important thing matters is for us to focus on going back in time and going, it's an opportunity for all of us to go back and realize we helped create literally the pyramids. Stonehenge, the most amazing places on this planet that are known to mankind, the most wonders of the world. But we are not using our capability and our true gifts to our fullest. So if we start allowing ourselves to go back in time and focus on taking back who we are and really focusing on ourselves and seeing, what is my gift? What do I have to share with the world? And really just meditating on that, we can change. And then when I talk to the people who are sick, and I had my mother-in-law who was very ill, but she refuses to stay home. Now she's home because she has no choice because she's quarantined. But she literally, at the beginning of this whole pandemic, everything, she's just like, I have to go. And she loves casinos and she lives in Palm Springs and God bless her. I'm like, you have to stay. She's a little short, 4'10" Italian woman. And she just, no one can tell her no because her bark is this big. And she's just like, I cannot stay home. So she became very ill. And now for the very first time since I've been married to my husband, she's finally listening to me because she's like a really faithful person, but she doesn't believe in spirituality, like my type of world. And she's learning that through breathing and through allowing herself to have calmness, she has now had beautiful results in healing. And then one of the people who work for me, her name is Sarah. She was extremely sick. She was hospitalized. And then she came out and they told her to go quarantine at home. And she's completely healed, but she believes in what I do. So she's completely transformed. And it's through breathing and meditation. We don't allow ourselves to realize that breathing is one of the things we often forget to do. This is the breath we take.
And it's quite important, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's right up there. No, it's true, but it's kind of, people don't really appreciate the importance of breathing and how am I breathing? And am I slowing down the way I breathe?
Yeah, it's because we don't have to consciously do it all the time. Our autonomic nervous system takes care of it, so we don't focus on it. It's like the most important thing. It's right in front of our face, and it's something we do every second of the day, and yet we're not focusing on it as much.
Yeah. But it's a priority, and it's a gift that we are given so that we can learn to be in that meditative state. I used to live in a monastery over in Spain many years ago, and I was living as a monk, basically, like a holy person. And all we did was stay like this and breathe and focus on meditation. And that was all we did. And when we did that, I don't know how to explain it. You couldn't be in a better place. Like, we could feel like we were flying and that we were walking on invisible bridges because we were able to allow ourselves to constantly leave the human stress, the anxiety of this whole pandemic or anything that's going on in the world, because we were conscious. We were allowing ourselves to reconnect to everything that we were given and connect to all our sensors. And we allowed ourselves to connect with our, all the neurons that are inside of our brain, but also the neurons that are inside of our heart. And we can feel the electricity through our bodies. So if we do that again during this situation that we're going through, which is, God willing, going to be healed quickly, then people can allow themselves to be healed. But they need to start practicing this like right now, focusing on meditation, focusing on breathing, focusing on self-healing, not stressing. And I understand even the financial situation. A lot of people I talk to, I have a client who owns a bank and he's like, oh, I need to die. I can't be here. I'm going to go commit suicide. He literally told me that. And I said, what is that going to do for your family and your kids and your grandkids? That's not going to help you. Leaving the planet's not going to help. But then they can collect the insurance and da-da-da. And I said, oh, my Father God. It's all about status. People want to allow themselves to be here. They want to be all the way at the top. But right now, it's a reality that no matter how powerful, my husband just told me yesterday, what's his name? Prince Charles?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Just now got the...
Yeah, no, he got it a couple of days ago. No, everyone. I mean, it looks like it doesn't matter.
The wrong son got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter who you are. We are all the same. We are all the same. Doesn't matter what we look like. Doesn't matter who we are. This is the most beautiful, amazing time for us to become as a unity and realize there is no individualism. Yes, there's an individualism in regards towards our purpose and who we are, but we're all one.
Yeah,
we're all together.
And actually, speaking of affecting the rich, I know some people might not like to admit this or hear this, but the truth is there's 1 million people dying every single day from hunger and 500,000 dying every year, of course, roughly, from the flu. And
don't pay attention.
It doesn't affect the rich. So why would they focus on hunger? These are countries where there's no rich people living there, right? Or not much. So because it doesn't affect the rich, it just affects the poor. The news and media platforms aren't really focusing on it. And the world isn't being shut down because of the flu. But so I think that this fear and this panic is definitely necessary, but it goes a little too extreme. Like really, toilet paper is not that important. And actually going back to what you were saying. Well, no, it's important.
I mean, there is a thing called bidet.
I had a bidet.
I had a...
This guy made a bidet. This guy made a bidet on YouTube with the shower.
And Paul, can I say something, Paul? Because I know it was you in London. You're the one that bought the whole lorry full of toilet paper, and you're reselling it on eBay now. Okay, there's something wrong about people selling paracetamol for £14. There's a lot of people taking it. I think the other thing I wanted to point out is that this is a time we've been talking about gratitude. We've been talking about being grateful for what we have, refraining in comparison to other people. But the other thing is around being grateful. I mean, you see, like now, for example, I went to the supermarket the other day, obviously, keeping my distance. But then, kind of, hey, at the forefront of what's going on at the moment, we have doctors and nurses who we didn't care about, These are people that are putting their lives, I mean, they're at the forefront. And they, unfortunately, because the governments, a lot of them are so incompetent, are dropping like flies because they haven't got the equipment they need to protect themselves. And then you look at the doctors and then you look, you know what? I mean, excuse me, now we haven't got Amazon Prime and it takes 3 days to get delivered. Now we're getting a little bit annoyed. How grateful are we to these people that deliver packages? 100%. How grateful are we to the people that are picking and stocking up the supermarkets for us? There's so many things, there's so many people we have to be grateful for, because quite rightly, we still have all these things available to us. It's just we're slightly inconvenienced, Slightly inconvenienced. So listen, I wanted to... Sorry, Paul, go ahead. Sorry, Paul, can't hear you. No?
We can't hear you.
Hear you?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. This is a little bit sort of throwaway, but it did make, in my head, I was going to thank Tammy because I think she's come up with my new book title, which is, after this, I'm going to have a book called Shit for Brains, How a Nation Stopped Thinking and Bought Toilet Paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul, we got the new band about stools and the new book about stools as well, right? So I'm waiting for these.
That's the title of my book.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I think Josh, Paul's was called Shit for Brains. But Paul's got
in court.
Hello, Rivers.
So, Bernardo, to build on all this shit. And the gratitude that you mentioned, I think something to even give an exercise, a tactic for people to play with too, is not only being grateful for what in the past, what's happened, being grateful for the present, but being grateful for the future, investing time and energy into the unknown and being grateful for it, trying to find in your head, like, what are those positive potentials in the future that already do exist? How can I visualize an amazing future and be grateful for that, for existing in the future, bring that gratitude today and then surrender it and then just let it happen. And that way you'll be opening up yourself to all these amazing things and opportunity and positivity that can be happening. So playing around with not only existing in the present, being grateful for it, but trying to be grateful for everything that's that's going to happen in the future as well.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to
beautiful.
Go ahead, Bernardo.
Sorry, I wanted to thank you, Matthew, for that. And we've got a couple of guests coming, so you're more than welcome to stay, Matthew. But if not, I wanted to thank you so much for being here. Valentine, do you have anything else you wanted to suggest?
No. What you believe is, you got to believe in that all good is coming. All good is coming. That's it. Stay positive.
And what you focus on expands. So thank you so much, Valentine. Okay. Thank you so much, Matthew, for being here.
You are.
So Daniel and Josh, anything else you would like to share with us? You give us some great advice, Daniel. I saw some comments on Facebook there. I can see a lot of people already shaking up this sparkling water with the magnesium.
Yeah. Yes, actually there is. I want to say that I know this gratitude, something that a lot of people are talking about. And when I first heard about gratitude, I'm going to be honest, as a kid, I'm like, I don't want to write in a journal. I'm busy. I didn't want to. To me, I'm like, what's that going to do for me? Like gratitude. But there's actually, and some people might think it's a little spiritual stuff, but there's actually some very interesting studies on it. This one study was very interesting. They took a group of people and they were grateful for 4 days. So it was a gratitude, not much negative thoughts, a relaxed state. And in 4 days, because we know our telomeres are what determine our lifespan. When a cell splits, a telomere shortens, kind of like think of a plastic end of a shoelace. That's kind of like your telomeres. That plastic part, it shortens, it continues to shorten. And basically, once that plastic part is gone on the shoelace, all the strings come apart. Same thing with your telomeres. When it shortens completely, your cells can't duplicate and then you die. And it was said that you can't really increase the length of your telomeres. But in just 4 days, this is ridiculous. In just 4 days of being grateful, their lifespans of the people who are practicing this, their lifespan was increased by a few days. Like someone even increased their lifespan up to 18 days. So 7 days. And the number of people who increased their lifespan was like 70%. It was crazy. Now you're probably thinking a few days is not much, but if just 4 days can increase your lifespan by 18 days, that is pretty powerful. And in just 4 days, that is crazy. Like you think it takes a lot more time, but this stuff is powerful. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I love it.
I've been playing around with something too. Are you guys familiar with the heart math monitor that you clip to your ear and it measures your body's coherence? And coherence is when your body is in its most relaxed, healing state. It can do repair. And that's when your breathing and your heart rate are in sync with each other. And it's so crazy. You clip this thing to your earlobe and you see on your phone whether you're in coherence or not. It's paired with an app. And the fastest way, and I've tethered myself to this thing for, probably hundreds and hundreds of hours now. And the fastest way to get my body in coherence is by thinking grateful thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's like gratitude is like this magic sauce for the universe and for our bodies. And so it's really fun.
I wanted to say one thing. One of the words that I use is for gratitude, I talk about manifestation. Mm-hmm. And to me, gratitude means manifestation. So if we manifest our lives in a beautiful way, I think it was Matthew just said a moment ago, like be positive and just keep, be happy for the future. Manifestation is real, but it's a part of gratitude. It all goes in one category in my book. And people don't realize that the power of manifestation is real. And how Daniel was talking about how they did a test a couple of years ago back. It was a silly thing that I did, but it was fun. I went and I volunteered to do this scientific project over at Burning Man. Have you guys heard of Burning Man? Okay. Yes. And it was called the Mind Murmur. And they put this machine on my head to teach people about meditation, and that when you manifest happiness and joy, which is exactly what I learned when I was in the monasteries and the convents learning about meditation and prayer. When you manifest joy, it changes the frequency in your whole body, like Daniel, like Josh, like everyone talked about. It's so real.
What device did they put on your head? Was it like
all these little things?
Oh, yeah, probably an electroencephalogram. Yeah, yes. They measure brainwaves.
Yes,
I want to get it out there, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And people were trying to master going into a place of peace. And I was teaching them I was guiding them through a meditation and teaching them. And as I was teaching them, then they allowed themselves to surrender. But it's really hard to get to a stage 5 because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they were showing that people could get to a 2, but it was almost impossible for them to get to a 3. And then by the time they were done with the focusing on manifesting their biggest joy, whether it was a made up place or a place from their childhood, and manifesting that most joyful moment, people raise their vibration immediately. Because joy, manifestation, gratitude, happiness changes our lives. That's why when you hear about these people, there was this book, or not a book, a movie that I saw many years ago. It was called Babies. And they talked about these little kids that live in just nature, right? Growing up on a rice field, or little kids that grew up in Africa, that grew up in the nature. And then you talk about the ones that are in Japan with 20 million responsibilities, then ones in America that have, maybe only 15 responsibilities, have much more of a high suicide rate. And the movie was very interesting. But the point is that when you have happiness, And when you have joy, your lifespan obviously always expands. And people who are living in these more technical and a part of, what do you call that? I can't think right now. What do you call that? Civilized. When we live in civilized locations, we become so much more stressed and so much more angst within inside of us, instead of allowing ourselves to not worry about what's going to happen in 10 minutes, what's going to happen in an hour, what's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. People always focus and worry about the next move instead of allowing themselves to be appreciative for the moment. And when we're talking about the coronavirus, all I keep thinking about is how people don't realize, when I'm receiving phone calls and talking to all sorts of different people from the world, I have one person in Hong Kong, I have another person in Thailand, somebody all over the world. These people are talking to me and asking, how do we fix ourselves? And I said, number one, love yourself. That's it. There's nothing to fix. This is a gift. It's a gift for us to finally be with those that we love and taking time. Yes. Personally, right before this happened, I had 4 lectures set up. It changed my life dramatically, but I cannot have a bigger smile on my face because I actually gardened and spent time with my kids, which I have not done in a very long time. And I sat there and I said, this is so wonderful. And I'm teaching more through the internet and through everything that we're doing with these other devices and feeling more accomplished than traveling and getting on a plane 24/7.
Yeah,
so it's been pretty amazing. It's been really
happiness. There's this very interesting film I watched a while back, and it was this documentary about happiness and levels of income. And we all know that money doesn't create happiness.
No.
But once people get to the point where they have enough money to fulfill their basic needs, the happiness levels from that point all the way till like millionaires and billionaires wasn't really that big of a difference at all. Mm-mm. So it's quite interesting that money, as long as you have enough to survive, which most of us have, we shouldn't really be panicking that much. And when we're panicking and we're stressed out, like I said, intelligence is low when stress is high. And you can really see that. Like the level of stupidity that people are getting into when it comes to this coronavirus and social distancing and stuff. Like, okay, maybe they're staying away from you, but then they'll do something else that is equally as bad. Like there's this one person, I was going to the basketball court before it was closed and before you get a fine for playing outside. It was like this one person was like, whoa, social distancing as I was walking. She's like, I'm going to cross the road now. So she crosses the road and doesn't even pay attention, or she doesn't even care that she's walking past 3 other kids extremely close to them. But for me, she had to be meters away. So I'm like, where's the intelligence in that?
Well, and the problem is that the problem is that there's a lot of that going on, Daniel, and then they cross the street and then they get run over by a car. And that's even worse. See, that's what we're worrying about. So guys, listen, I wanted to thank you because I've got Marissa Peer joining me in a minute. And I wanted to thank you very much. Josh, thank you for being here. Daniel, thank you so much for being here. And Paul, because I've been meaning to ask you before, okay, now, is there a joke that you can share that's, for adults and for everyone, a joke that you can share with us that you can leave us with, okay? And if you need to check, come on, you must have one there, Paul. But Josh, Daniel, okay. I wanted to thank you so much for both being here, okay?
Well, thank you. Well, close your ears, Daniel, because you're only 14 and none of my jokes are clean enough for normal television. No, this is a very, very silly joke. Why do mice have such small balls? Because very few of them can dance.
I don't get it.
Is that what you've given us, Paul? That is just terrible. Oh, my God. Terrible. I'm so sorry.
You know today, but you'll be telling it tomorrow.
There you go.
I know. Well, listen.
Lovely to see you. I'll explain it offline, Daniel.
Yeah, explain it offline. Tammy, thank you so much for being here too. I'm gonna invite welcome. Marissa to join me. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone that's watching. And I know a lot of you are going to be watching this recorded. Tammy, thank you so much for sharing.
Marissa.
Thank you.
Send my love to Marissa. Lots of love to you.
I will.
Nice to meet you all. Take care now.
Yes. Bye. I have to go because I have to do my own webinar.
Anything you want to leave us with, Tammy?
I would love to leave you guys with the most powerful message from our guardian angels and from our guides is that we need to allow ourselves. This is a message I've received quite often. Right now is the time for us to focus on reflection, self-love, and self-worth, and to allow ourselves to radiate only from our hearts. Don't allow ourselves to focus on fear, stress, or anxiety, or what we have or what we don't have, but be appreciative for every gift that we do have. Meditation is the most important thing to me. And I think that through all the people I've ever worked with, it's only been successful and there's never been a negative result with meditation. So if they do want to go, they could go on YouTube. I do have the free guided meditation, which they can go on YouTube and type in Tammy Adams meditation. And it says guided transcendental meditation. It's me guiding people through steps of healing and opening up their chakras, entry point levels in their body. And it's my form of transcendental meditation. It's helping us to extend to a higher vibration energetically and spiritually. But
Tammy, thank you so much. So please make sure you share those links. And any and all of you that have been involved today, or any of you that are part of the group, please make sure that you share any of the tips and advice that any good reads. That's the hashtag Food Bank for the Soul. And we're going to continue to add value here as the weeks grow by. We've doubled in obviously the amount of people joining this community literally in this last week. And it's just going to carry on growing and growing. So I want to thank you three for being here. Stay safe.
Could I just say one more thing? Actually, I'm going to be doing a free online program that you can register for at geniusmode.ca/COVID-19 without the dash between COVID-19. You can also find the video with a link on my Facebook page, which is Daniel Bissonnette, Bissonnette. And then I'm just going to be sharing with you what I do to boost my immune system. And I only get sick once a year. And when I am sick, it's in a day, I'm recovered, no problem. It's fine to get sick once in a while. That's the idea of vaccines. You want to make sure that you're, kind of attacking your immune system a little bit so that it can get stronger and build this resilience. And so, but I'm going to get into a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of interesting science. It's equivalent of 2.5 decades of research.
Feel free to share it there on the post. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay. Blessings.
Stay safe. Make sure you share it, Bye. Daniel. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Right. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you again.
Hi, guys. And I'm excited and delighted to have Marissa joining us in a minute. And basically, we, got so much to ask Marissa, who's obviously been sharing some great ideas. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Thanks, Marissa, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. For those of you, obviously, I'm sure you all have heard and seen Marissa over the years. Marissa's been, she's a best-selling motivational speaker and leading celebrity, therapist. She's pioneering hypnotherapist trainer. I'm a massive fan of Marissa for many, many years. I met her quite a few years ago, and we had the pleasure of her speaking at the Best Year Expo last year. And she was like the piper where Marissa went. Thousands of people were following all over the place. It was just beautiful, and any and every room. But apart from that, Marissa is in my standards one of the leading authorities, in anything and everything that comes to having the clarity of the mind. Understanding how powerful we are to do the most amazing things. So Marissa's obviously, very busy. She travels and speaks all over the world. She runs these beautiful and amazing courses. She has phenomenal content already online available for us. And we've shared some links. I'm going to be sharing some more throughout the 2 days. But Marissa, if anything, I've been sharing these last weekend and today we've been sharing how much of a need there is for experts like you and leaders and authorities to really help, this new reality that we all have. What are you experiencing? What are you helping people with currently?
Panic, fear. Most people, you really need to understand the psychology of human behavior to understand why we act the way we act. So, for instance, why people are hoarding toilet rolls. That sounds incredibly selfish and a bit silly, really, because you can't eat toilet rolls. But when you understand what runs you, instead of thinking, I'm just out of control, now this is going on. I'm lying on my sofa eating cookies all day, and I know that sugar's bad for my immune system, but I'm just a big mess. I'm just a train wreck. You're not actually. You need to understand what runs human behavior. And I'm going to tell you about 3 things that will make perfect sense. The first thing is Human beings are hardwired to need certainty. From have I got enough food in the house? Do I have someone that loves me? Can I make my bills? Are my kids going to be okay? And every now and again, something comes along and it takes your certainty away. 9/11 did that. When we were told that the AIDS virus, that life would never be the same again, it also did that. But actually, we did come back from 9/11 and this AIDS epidemic. But right now, we don't have certainty. When's lockdown going to end? What if it ends and then another virus comes along and we're even worse off? What if I never get another job again? What if my marriage ends because I can't stand being cooped up? And in a world where there is no certainty, you only have two choices. Give in to it or decide, look, if I need certainty, why don't I give it to myself? I can create my own certainty. I've got a home, I've got food, I can connect with, I've got the internet, I've got the phone, and I will get another job. My government will not let me starve to death. I will always have what I need. And so you need to give yourself certainty. How can you do that? Well, first of all, you have to decide how you can be the same. You need a routine. You need to get up, get dressed, give your day a little time. Like when your kids go to school, they have a timetable. We come in, we do assembly, we do lessons, we do play, we do lessons, we do lunch. If you happen to have a family at home, create a timetable and give yourself stuff to do. Because the second thing, along with the certainty missing, is that we can only ever feel good about ourselves if we can control the direction of change in our life and make it change for the better. Human beings are very scared of change, unless it's good change. It's why we get scared of getting sick. We're scared of getting old. We're scared of losing everything. And it's impossible to feel good about change unless you can take control of that change and make it change for the better. How do you do that in this time? Well, you think, you know what? If there was anything good about this, what could it be? And that sounds very Pollyanna. What's great about this? But I'm not saying that. If there was something good about it, what could it be? Well, first of all, how many of us say, I really would love some time for myself. I never get time for me. Well, now you have time. How many of us say, I'd love to do puzzles with my kids and read with them and cook with them. I don't have time. So the thing that's good about this is that you have time. You have time to batch cook better food, to go on YouTube and watch tutorials, to work out at home, to meditate, to cook with your kids and to make that part of their learning. So you're weighing and measuring. The third thing about human beings, and it's probably the most interesting, is we react very badly to loss. Human beings react to loss 3 times more than to gain. We don't like loss. It's why losing weight doesn't work, because it's a painful word. And so you have to focus not on what you're losing. I know you might have lost your job, you've lost your income, and that's horrible. But even when that's all going on, don't allow yourself to get into this loss. If people have written to me and went, hey, Marissa, just want you to know, if the world comes to an end and I never see you again, how much of an impact you've had. I don't really want to get letters like that. It's a beautiful sentiment, but I've had a few and I'm like, well, the world is not going to end. This is not Armageddon. It's not an apocalypse. We have to look at what's happened. There is a virus and it's gone around the world, but don't you think every government now is working to make sure that doesn't happen again? After 9/11, we made travel safer. We took away, we were traveling with liquids and we did stuff and it's become safer. So after this event, things will happen that will actually probably work to make sure that doesn't happen again. And yes, there's no vaccine. Yes, there's no drug. But you know what? If you take 5,000 IUs of B vitamins every day, 50 mgs of zinc and 1,000 of vitamin C, that will boost your immunity. I've worked with many doctors on that very protocol. If you burn tea tree oil, put it in a diffuser, put it on your radiators, put it in a pan of water. Tea tree oil is antiviral, antiseptic, antibacterial. It's very, very good for your chest. And so burning tea tree oil, eucalyptus and peppermint. The other good thing is you feel like I'm doing something. Okay, I was lying on the sofa freaking out. Now I've got the oils, I've got the vitamins, I'm eating better. I'm focusing on what can I do? What new subject could I learn? and now I feel better. It's all about using your brilliant mind to take some action, to feel in control, to get some certainty back, and to not focus on what you're losing. And if you do those things, you will feel amazing, and you'll help people around you feel amazing too, even while this is going on.
But even thank you, Marissa, and some great tips there. I mean, there's so many things that, you know, that people should implement. We've been sharing a lot of ideas around this. I mean, I think also what is beautiful is this sense of collaboration that I think is happening now. You know, everyone's on Zoom, everyone's getting on camera, but everyone's contributing and everyone's working together. I also feel, and I've shared as well, that I have this sense of so much amazing, beautiful creativity happening at this time, because there's so many great minds that are connecting to find solutions and also to collaborate and to write those books. What do you feel around, you know, this new reality? Because things will change, you know. What do you think? How much better are we going to be? Because I think it's just going to be an amazing, exciting opportunity for us professionals that are in the industry, those that are thinking in transitioning, but those that will now starting reevaluating as well what is important in life.
Yeah, and I think that's so true that we're looking at this. For instance, all these people are single are going to think, you know what, actually, I really want to be with someone. I don't really think my life that I thought was great is great. A lot of people are going to be looking at alternative ways to take control of your health. I released on YouTube last week a meditation to boost your immune system. People say that's silly, but you probably know that the Rainbow Children's Hospital in Cleveland, they showed these kids a puppet. The policeman puppet was attacking the germ puppet and killing it. That was a little 2-minute thing. But they tested all the children's immunoglobulin levels before, and then they watched the show, and then they lay down and they imagined that puppet show was going on in their body, that there was a police squad in there killing the viruses, and their immunoglobulin levels increased so much that they said that the body is actually fighting an imaginary virus just by thinking about it. And a lot of this comes back to we can always do something. There is no vaccine, there is no drug, but you have an immunity, your own line of defense, and there are many things you can do to boost your immune system. We know that Wim Hof does it with ice baths. We know that Niraj does it with breathing. I do it with meditation and visualization. And I think the days of saying, hey, doctor, here I am, I'm going to give you my illness, can you fix me, are already changing. You know, responsibility means do not give your power of your health to someone else. There's so many things you can do, even in this crisis. Eat better, supplement better, think better thoughts. Thoughts are things. When you think a thought, you get a physical reaction. After all, that's what an erection is. You think a thought, you get a reaction. It's why when you think about food, your tummy starts. When you think about something embarrassing, you go bright red and stutter. Every thought you think has a physical reaction and an emotional response. And while you think there's nothing you can do, there is. Change your thinking. Here's the law of control. Your thoughts control your feelings. Your feelings control your actions. Your actions control your events. When you can't control the virus out there and the lockdown, you can always control your thinking. And if you can control your thinking and make your thoughts positive, it will change your entire life. And I do think that we are now beginning to see self-responsibility. We don't need to keep taking antibiotics and antacids and giving our power away. We need to look at what we eat, what we drink, how we relax, but most of all, how we think. Do not call this Armageddon or apocalypse. Don't even allow those words in your head. It's a situation. It's not great. It will pass, and some good things will come out of it for most people. And I think if you can think like that, you'll feel better.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the idea of obviously thinking our thoughts, asking ourselves empowering questions. We've been talking about obviously nutrition. We've been talking about eating well, making sure that, you know, we surround ourselves with positivity and positive news, because there's so much, you know, crap going out there that people are just they're just going in this rat race of just literally being surrounded with it. Now, when it comes down to, because again, I think I shared it before, but I believe that a lot of people are struggling. Kind of like we probably couldn't see this 3 weeks ago. No one, or a month ago, no one could see this happening, and now I suppose it's the other way around. No one can see us now being again in public places. No one can see us again going and meeting in restaurants and hugging. And so, from a hypnosis visualization kind of technique or ideas, what would you do, or what are you doing to help people kind of have these bright pictures in their mind where they can see this positive outcome?
Well, human beings are amazing. You can cope with anything if it has an ending. You can cope with pain if it has an ending. You can cope with an ice bath or walking on coals if you can see an ending. And it's a bit like being pregnant. If you were pregnant for 5 years, it would be very different to 9 months. When you can see something ending, you can deal with even pain. It's why water torture is the worst form of pain, because you don't know when it's coming and you don't know when it's ending. And I've had surgeries with no anesthetic at all. And I had to ask them 2 questions. How long will this last? And is this as intense as it gets? And when they said yes, I thought, I can do this. This is 20 minutes. And whenever something's going to end, you can cope with it. But we have to be able to see the ending. And so the worst thing you can do is go, this is never going to end. Life will never be the same. The minute this happens, another one will come. It's going to wipe out people. The world's going to go bankrupt. Do not allow yourself to go there. Instead, say, this will end. And we're all going to learn some new stuff that's probably very useful. The world could be a kinder, nicer place. Already we're seeing key workers, how much they should be appreciated and valued. Because when you have a brilliant mind, and we all have a brilliant mind, you have a choice. And here's your choice. Rationalize why you feel so awful, or talk yourself out of it. And you always want to go to talk yourself out of it. It's a bit like, if somebody was putting a needle in your arm, you can go, this is going to hurt, it's going to pierce my skin. Oh my God, it's so painful, I don't like it. Look at the blood. Or you could say, you know what? Needles today are so fine, so tiny. And if I cough exactly as that needle goes in, my body won't even feel it. Both of these things are true, but you get to choose which one, because it's the way you think about an event that decides how you feel. If I had a big bit of beef in my hand right now, it's not the beef. If you're a Hindu, that would be the most disgusting, offensive thing. If you're a vegan, it would be repulsive. If you're into keto, it would be amazing. If I had a needle in my hand right now, if I'm having a tattoo or some Botox, or I'm in immense pain, I want that needle. I welcome it. But if I don't like needles, I don't like it. So we have to remember that the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself form your reality. If you don't like your reality, change the words you use. The words are way more important than the pictures. Don't say, this is a disaster. The world will never be the same again. I'm locked indoors. I'm stuck. I'm cooped. I'm in isolation. I'm in lockdown. These are very painful words. Say instead, I've got some time to myself. It's kind of forced upon me, but I'm always saying I want time to myself. And realize if you are indoors with a family, you're very lucky, because you've got people. And you can always lock yourself in the bathroom for an hour, get into a movie or a YouTube with headphones. You could create aloneness, even with a family of 7 people. But if you're alone, it's much harder to create people. And if you are alone, especially if you're older, you really need to set up phone calls, 11 o'clock every morning, 5 o'clock every night, to have a connection. You need to go online. There are people doing amazing things, yoga classes, fitness classes, communal breakfasts and lunches and dinners, all online. And you have to make the very best of this while looking for what's good about it. And reaching out for other people, especially older people who don't have anyone, because you can still talk over your fence. You can still open your apartment door and maybe have a conversation down the corridor. But do not use words like lockdown, shut away, isolation. And don't say this is killing me, driving me crazy, I'm going mad here, because When you use those words, they are your reality. Your brain has no choice but to react to the words you tell it. It doesn't know, and it certainly doesn't care if those words are true or false. So when you say, I got great coping skills and I can get through this, you'll do better than someone that says, this is killing me. I'm going insane with boredom. We do have a choice, and the choice is always back to what you're thinking.
Thank you, Marisa. Great advice. Now, we've also talked about this, the fact is that families having to live together, the advantages of it, but also the challenges of couples that maybe don't necessarily like each other that much anymore, or haven't spent so much time with the other half for years. So we've been talking a lot about communication and obviously communication within, the relationships, and how, it is such an essential part with your kids. Now, you've already shared some ideas about, setting times to do specific things and to organize kind of your routine throughout the 2 days. What about for couples, relationships, and communication with kids? How important is it now to make sure that we do things? Because, hey, for some people, for some couples, it might be great because they get a lot more time to spend in bed together. And others, well, they maybe need to build bridges. What's your thoughts?
Well, if you have children, again, do not allow yourself to talk about the end of the world, the apocalypse, people dying. Remember, when children watch a very scary news flash, they can't tell if that's happening on the news or right in front of them. And it's very bad for children to hear this negativity. You have a duty as a parent to say, we're all in this together and this will pass. And what's exciting is we're going to cook together, weigh out food. We're going to have a maths lesson every day where we're weighing food. We're going to do the plank and some push-ups and some sit-ups every day to keep our bodies healthy. We're going to do lessons together, do puzzles together, write together. I know it sounds very Pollyanna, but your children will feel about this the way you feel about it. I need you to make everything an adventure. So if you're a family at home, allow each person to have half an hour in the bathroom by themselves. Find a room where each person can go to, and that's their chill out room, and they can be there on their own. Have a little workout area. If you're a couple and all of a sudden you've noticed so many things about your partner that drive you crazy, every time you're in that, one of the good things to do is this. It's to say, would someone out there swap places with me? Is my issue someone else's fantasy dream come true? My husband keeps cooking. My wife keeps making a mess. My husband's got the radio on so loud, or all this laundry. And stop and say, would someone want to swap with me? Oh, yes, there would be people all over the world that would love to swap with you just because you have someone to wake up to talk to. So if someone else would swap with you, you're already winning. Secondly, what would you have given 10 years ago for this problem? Yeah. You're in the home and you can't leave with your husband or wife and child. You might have loved to have that problem. So it's again looking at what's good about this. Who would want to swap? Is my problem someone else's fantasy? And what can I do to get through this? And you can get through it by focusing on the fact, rather like pain, it will end. It always ends. After 9/11, we were told life will never be the same again. But it kind of was the same again. After AIDS, we were told relationships will never be the same again. But they are. When we were in the UK in the Gulf War, we were told it will never be the same again. We're going to have nuclear warfare. And unfortunately, we get terrified a lot by this explosion of drama because people like drama. It's exciting and interesting. But remember, we have been here before, not quite in the same way, but this is not the first time we've been told life will never be the same again. Everything as you know it will change. This is a different reality. That happened in the Depression in America. And now we have so many better things. We have internet, we have Wi-Fi, 24-hour television, we have books we can download, we have courses we can go on, we have people who are delivering stuff and helping us out, and we know more about making our own immunity better. So look again. What is okay about this? How can you get through it in a positive way? And if anybody would swap places with you, would swap their situation for yours, you've already won. And, you know, when your family are really challenging you, remember you can escape from them. It may be shutting yourself in the bathroom, in a room, in a cupboard, just putting in the headphones and putting something on so you can't hear them. That's a choice. But people who are truly alone, they don't even have that choice. They can't find people. If you're stuck with people, you can find solace. If you're in solace, you can't find people. So you've got someone to share it with. You're better doing this with someone than alone. And we are all in this together. And there's lots of great things happening. That clapping for the NHS, the people who are putting all these funny little things on YouTube and on Facebook every day.
Sorry to interrupt you. I saw that video you shared yesterday with that mum with her kids. It was hysterical.
Wasn't that I Will Survive? You know, I'm drinking gin and eating pies. But yes, so clever that someone had the ability to think that up, and we all start to laugh. So we are in this together and find humor in it. You know, in Auschwitz, the people who survived Auschwitz are the ones who said, I'm going to do something with this. You might have heard that book. I know you have, Man's Search for Meaning. But after Auschwitz, the people who lived through that were the ones who made a decision, I'm going to use this. I'm going to make sure this never happens again. And human beings are incredibly resilient. We're not weak and fragile. Whenever something happens and we say, I'm going to use this, something good will come of this. Something good does come of it. It's a bit like there's a law in America called Adam's Law, and that came about because someone's child was taken, abducted, and then the Amber Alert, happened. A little girl called Amber was kidnapped, and her parents created Amber Alert. In the most worst, horrendous tragedy, they made something good come of it. And people who survive situations like this and come out stronger and better make that decision somewhere, somehow. I'm going to turn this to an advantage. One of my clients went to jail for VAT fraud, and she trained to be an aerobic instructor in there. She had nothing else to do, and she's been a very successful aerobic instructor ever since. She used to be a rich woman who sat at home, and now she teaches aerobics, and she goes back to that woman's jail and teaches aerobics and made great friends. And we know Jonathan Aiken, who went to prison and said it changed his life. Jeffrey Archer went to jail and came out and wrote a book on prison reform. So there are people who've been in horrendous situations who've used it. And if we all collectively did that, we could make something good of this, because it will pass, it will end. And then you'll look back and say, you know, it wasn't that bad. I could have learned something. I spent all 2 months lying on the sofa eating potato chips and watching reruns of Californication when I could have, should have, would have. I'm always saying I haven't got enough time. Well, now time is what we have. Use it well.
Thank you, Marissa. And yeah, we've been talking, and we're also talking about, reframing, because then again, as obviously you shared the ideas of what we can do, taking advantage of all this downtime. But then again, billions of people are worse than us, people worse off than we are, no electric, no running water, no food, and those are facts in life, and people might want to ignore them. And then I was sharing with Aaron Young, we were talking last week, and he was talking about what's worse. What is the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is being dead. That is the worst, because, you could still keep your company, but you would be dead, and then it doesn't matter because your kids are dead. So what are you doing? Because then I personally think, and I know you've seen this as well, Marissa, you've seen a lot of people in the personal development world that, kind of have come in because, maybe what they were doing didn't have much of a meaning, and they wanted to do something with more of a meaning. They started, testing, trying hypnosis, NLP, or whatever it was. And then they got really involved in it. And some of them have transitioned into doing, a lot of that. And I know obviously with the programs you do, with the RTT and the RAMNF and, a lot of programs that you've been doing for a long, long time, which you do also live and online. You've helped a lot of people and are helping a lot of people in transitioning. Okay. And this, I think, it is prime time to actually take step forwards, to taking action, to doing and finding that new career, something where you can help and inspire people and make a difference, because this is the time to take action, isn't it?
Absolutely. So for me, I mean, I'm immensely lucky and I'm very grateful for that. But a lot of our RTT training is online. So I have my own therapy called Rapid Transformational Therapy. And you can learn that live or online or indeed both. So for the last week, we've been really working on the online course. We had to cancel our live course that should have taken place in LA a week ago, but we made a virtual classroom. We had hundreds of students on it. They absolutely loved it. My sister worked so hard creating amazing content. And so we made our online school even better. Our online course is amazing. And lots of our students saying, this is great. I've got the time to study the course. And then I began to create this program for immunity. I did a very quick meditation on YouTube to boost your immune system. We have something we created called Command Cell Therapy and Healing Vortex, where you use your own energy to heal your body. And this week I'm developing one for children, and this is probably the most exciting thing for me because I'm making an immunity game for children where they go inside and they launch the troops and they fight the germs, and we're giving them a book, a song. We've written the song. It's very exciting. And we've got the app, and that will be going up in about a week. And we're going to teach children all over the world. Your immunity is your defense. You have an immune system. We know, for instance, that if you have ice baths or if you exercise, or if you're happy, your immune system is better. If you're miserable and sad, you're more likely to get a cold. If you're madly in love, in that instance, your immune system is better. So many people, when they first fall in love, say, my headaches went away, my skin condition went away. And so we're making this amazing thing. And even when this issue is over, we're going to be putting it in children's hospitals and cancer wards. We're going to be using it for children who have hay fever or allergies. And so I was saying to my husband, I never would have made this program. I thought of this 25 years ago and had some talks with Sony at the time about making this game for children. And then just life got in the way. And finally, I've got the time to really sit down and really effectively write this program for kids to make their body fight viruses, to make their body fight illnesses, to give them responsibility. Doesn't mean that illness is imaginary, but we know that the mind can create the symptom of every illness. And the idea of putting this into children's cancer wards to boost their immunity, because even when you go for chemotherapy, your thoughts about it affect what it does to you. If you look at food and go, that's going to make me sick because it's not cooked, or I'm going to get sick because I went out in the rain and my hair was wet. If you believe that, you are more likely to get sick. The beliefs you have about a drug affect you as much as, if not more, than the actual compounds of the drug itself. And that's what the placebo was built on. Somebody called Henry Beecher, I think, who said that our beliefs about a drug affect us more than the pharma, so I can't say this word, pharma's compounds of the drug. Placebo means the physician that lives in you, that can administer any drug whenever you need it. And I think one of the good things that can come out of this is us believing that there's more than going to the doctor and taking meds. Doctors are amazing. If you get ill, you want a great doctor and you want great care. But so many of us, that's the first place we go to with headaches and skin conditions and irritable bowel, and we don't realize that actually we could fix that. I was working in the NHS, and they said that 70% of people turning up at A&E have real physical problems, but they're not caused by a diseased organ. They're caused by diseased thinking. And we can help people not have diseased thinking. It's amazing what we can do if we tap into the power of our minds. And there are many people doing that. Many people that are going to speak at Expo are already doing that. People like Donna Eden, who has energy medicine, and so many people I know that are helping people. It isn't that you shouldn't go to the doctor, and it isn't that you shouldn't take medication, but it shouldn't always be the first thing you do. People say, oh, I'm taking antacids because I've got bad digestion, but they eat a terrible diet. Or then I'm going to put my kid on Ritalin because they're hyperactive. That should not be the first thing you do. You should look at what you're doing or what's going on in that kid's life that's making them hyperactive. So I think something very good will come of this, and that will be us understanding that responsibility means your ability to respond. Can you respond better to situations? You know, one of the reasons I created RTT was because I was working with people. I was told I would never be able to have a child, never get pregnant, never carry a baby to full term. And I just decided I'm not going to let that in. And I got pregnant easily. And even though I was told in my pregnancy, this baby's never going to survive, she's going to have everything wrong with her, she was perfect. And then I began working with infertile women who'd say, I've got unexplained infertility. What is that? Well, it's unexplainable because your ovaries are fine, your womb is fine, your husband's got the SAS, cracked sperm, plenty of it that swims, but something is not happening. And the something's not happening is the mind is getting in the way. The mind remembers you saying at 15, oh my God, I'm pregnant, and that's the end of the world. It's a nightmare, it's a disaster. My dad will kill me, my mum will kill myself. And now your mind is clear, you do not want a baby. And what RTT does is it unpicks that, recognizes we thought a thought. But you see, you're not thinking a thought. You're making a command. When little kids of 7 say, my mum's husband looks at me funny and I don't like it and I've got to find a way to let him stop looking at my body, they will then become obese, get issues, get skin conditions and nervous twitch because the mind hears do anything and everything to make that real. When you say, I need to get out of this exam, I need to get away from this pressure, I need to find a way of making my mum love me, my dad like me. The mind isn't logical. It doesn't go, let me find a very useful way. It just says, I'll get your attention, which is why we get nervous twitches and kids fling themselves on the floor and have a tantrum. And so being able to understand the psychology of why we do what we do and then change it and understand that the best way to change yourself is to dialogue with yourself better. We're all taught if you can communicate with your staff, you'll have a better company. If you can communicate with your partner, you have a better marriage. But no one is teaching you, well, I am, how to communicate with your body, how to communicate with your mind, how to communicate with your cells. Because if you do that, you will absolutely win at being healthy and being positive and getting through any situation by saying, I have amazing coping skills.
Thank you, Marisa. And it is down to kind of what we've been sharing, and obviously you've been talking about since you joined us, is all about the mind, the power of your thoughts, the language you use with yourself, the things you say, the things you think, the people you surround yourself are obviously essential in order to grow. Now, you've already shared something here with us, Marisa, and I've just got a couple of more questions. Now, we've talked about this and you've already mentioned some of the things that you're doing. What are you going to be focusing on more now? Because, you know, it is temporary. We will get back to normal. We will be meeting again and we'll be at the bar having a few drinks and hugging other people.
And we'll be at Expo in August as well.
And we'll be at the Expo in August. So the whole idea, and I get it's difficult. You know, I look, a month ago, no one could have imagined this. You know, no one could have had this in their mind. And then I suppose now no one can imagine completely the opposite or going back to normality with reasons. So yeah. What's your thoughts on that? And what are you working on differently, if anything, now that
it's interesting because many years ago I got pneumonia, and when I had pneumonia I couldn't sleep lying down. I had to sleep sitting up, and in a week I completely forgot what it was like to sleep lying down. And then when I got over pneumonia and went back to lying down, I forgot what it was like to sleep sitting up. I mean, I know I was pregnant. I love being, but I can't remember now what it was like to not see my feet. I can't really remember what it was like to have that pregnant body because it seems like such a long time ago. And the mind is very good at forgetting. A lot of women say, oh my God, I'm giving birth again. Why didn't I remember what it was like the first time or the second time? But we are very good at forgetting stuff. And so what I'm working on really is this whole area of being more responsible for your mental health and for your emotional health. You know, I've worked a lot with people who are suicidally depressed, and anyone who tells you it's because they've got that chemical imbalance in their brain, you know, those studies aren't flawed. They don't even exist. You cannot test for a chemical imbalance in someone's brain. And what I've discovered with depression, it's only my own thing, but I've been studying it for 30 years, is that depressed people Very damn. They use harsh, hurtful, critical words all the time. They fail to follow their heart's desire, and they are disconnected. So disconnection will cause an epidemic of depression. So work on your connection while this is on, and when it's gone, stop using harsh, hurtful, critical words to yourself and work out how you can follow your heart's desire, even if it's just as a hobby. Because if you don't do those three things, you're more likely to be depressed and anxious and worried. But if you stop the harsh, hurtful, critical words and be nice to yourself, work on connection and work on what is my heart's desire. I wanted to act. Well, I'm never going to act now, but I could still work in it somehow. I had a client, for instance, who wanted to be a doctor. She never became a doctor. She was so depressed when she retired from being a school teacher. She wanted to kill herself. When I spoke to her, and she said, I never followed my heart's desire. I'm like, well, why did you want to be a doctor? I wanted to help people. Anyway, cut a long story short, she now works in a hospice. She does Reiki. She does hands-on healing. She does aromatherapy, exactly what she wanted to do as a doctor, making a difference. She said, I've never felt happier. Who would have believed my life could begin at 65? Because you showed me it was never too late to follow my heart's desire. And I'm connecting all the time. And instead of beating myself up for not getting into medical school, I think, well, this is good. This is where I'm meant to be. So even with things like depression, it goes back to, again, don't give your power away to drugs. Look at what you can do. We have all the time in the world now to meditate, which is really good for our immunity, to do a few exercises at home. Just do the plank and a few press-ups and some sit-ups every day, to actually finally cook better food, to batch cook soups and casseroles and not live on junk, to take some time to learn something new, to go to all these free tutorials and to connect more with our kids. And even if they are, your family are really pushing your buttons every day, just say to them, I'm grateful I've got you. Start and begin your day with, I'm grateful I have you. I mean, in between doing this call, I went next to my husband and made this really lovely food. And I said to him, I'm so glad I've got you. Well, I'd be having an apple and peanut butter now, but you always cook me lovely food. And I had to remember to tell him how much I appreciate that. So, even in the middle of it all, remember what would it be like if you were all on your own? Of course, the people in your life challenge you. They leave their pants on the floor. They get peanut butter on the door handle. They get paint on stuff. They get spilled food on the carpet. But the only way to not have that is to live alone in isolation your entire life. And every country in the world practices isolation as a punishment. We maroon difficult sailors. We put difficult prisoners in isolation. We send our kids to their room. We banish people. We cast them out. It's a punishment to be all alone. So if you're with people, you're lucky. And if you are all alone, reach out and connect somehow, because this will end. And when it ends, we'll look back one day and think, there was something good about that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Marisa, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate always talking to you. Great insights, lots of wisdom. And for those of you that are watching now, either or the recorded version, we put some links here for Marisa's programs. She's got lots of free content, very generous with everything that she's done over the years. So Marisa, thank you so much for being so great, and looking forward to seeing you soon and obviously having you at the Expo.
Thank you. And go to YouTube and take those free meditations, and go to marisabeer.com and take all those free downloads. And I can't wait to see you in Expo, and I'm going to show you how to have an amazing immune system all the time.
Thank you so much. Lots of love. Take care.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll meet in LA soon.
Hopefully soon. Yeah.
You're up the road. We'll have a conversation over the canal.
I would love to. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
And everyone, I want to thank you all for being here today. It's been a great, inspiring 3 hours. I hope you enjoyed it. I've obviously had lots of fun, shared lots of ideas with friends and colleagues, and we're going to continue to do this. So keep an eye on the Best You Expo community. Pretty much every Saturday when I'm going to be running live interviews with all sorts of great people. And so there's much more to come. And if you're watching this as a recording, please go watch the whole thing. Every single speaker, every single person that's been here today has shared something that is of great value that can help you, that can enhance your life. I'm going to be running webinars in the coming weeks. They're all going to be listed here in the Best You Expo community. I've got Dave Meltzer, super coach, amazing guy, and a #1 sports marketing program. I've got Sharon Lecter, the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, joining me as well next week. And I've also got Jeff Hoffman, the founder of Priceline. And I've also got David Fagan. So I've got some great webinars lined up, but I'm going to be back here next Saturday. So please make sure to join me. If you've got friends that could take advantage of this community and all the things we have, please share it with them, even the negative ones. And then if you do have something to share, remember we've got the hashtag Food Bank for the Soul. So if you're giving, not looking at receiving, but if you're looking at giving, great ideas on tips and ideas on nutrition, on food, on exercise, books to read, free downloads, meditation, whatever it is, please make sure you share it. Put a post and share it. I want to thank you so much. It's been an exciting 2-3 hours, and I can't wait to see you soon. We're going to keep putting things out there for you. Take care. Thank you. Stay safe. Lots of love, and may the best be with you. Take care.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.